bad bet. Play the odds and risk it all. But you're playing my game now. And I'm here to clean house.
We're back to the action and we are back to Voltage Series. Welcome back, everyone. My name is Fancy Pixel. I'll be your host, and of course, will be joining with me today. I'm Guns and Puffo. How are you guys? How are you, Puffo?
Ooh, I'm doing quite good, because what better day to have than a Monday starting off quite rough, but then continuing on towards Voltage, which just brings up the hype, brings up the energy with all these beautiful teams and faces we're going to be having here, even on the desk.
Yeah, I can't wait. I cannot wait to get Voltage. We casted this last week. We're going to have some absolute banger matchups this week as well. Unfortunately, not as many banger matchups this week, but it's going to be a great time nevertheless.
Yeah, indeed. Of course, this matches today is going to be very important for all of the teams. Yes, some teams got their points, some teams didn't. We will talk all about that in a bit. But before we talk about anything, guys, let's look at the standing. Let's look at where everyone is right now. So Panaoni is in the first place, currently just by a single point because they got a forfeit today, and that's why they are temporarily today they're going to be taking this lead until we start up our day. And after that, of course, the first place is for Diavoli, after that is GK and Ryujin and Myth, after that in 4th and 5th place, and Psychopathus and VIP in 6th and 7th, and lastly you aim with 0 points so far. So Buffo, today is going to be an interesting day because we're going to see a lot of matches, not of course like the usual 4 matches, but we're gonna see 3 matches. That's going to be first time for all of the teams that's going to be playing against each other. So how do you feel, like how do you think the teams should go into this?
Well, firstly, they should probably go in with a confident mindset, healthy thought, and probably just trying to win it all out. These are all best of ones. There's not many second chances, so you also want to take that into consideration. But in general, as it goes, I think they should be going out with the hopes that they can make it through these group stages.
Yeah. And with that being said, Amguns, let's look at the schedule of the day. Let's look at the matches we're going to have. We're having UAIM and Psychopathus, we have Ryujin and GK, and we have, lastly, Myth versus Diavoli. Tell me which one of those 3, in your opinion, is the best match for you? Because we know already the match of the day, voted by everyone, was UAIM versus Psychopathus. But I want to hear from you, what's the match that you are looking for?
I really want to see Ryujin today. Obviously, GK being the biggest name in this tournament, they are, I think, in every matchup, they seem to be the favorites because of the talent they have. But I was really, really impressed with Ryujin last week. We got to see Ryujin play Myth on the Monday last week, and Ryujin showed some absolute class. So I'm really hoping that that's going to be a bit of a sleeper dog story there in the GK matchup. But also, as you mentioned, match of the day is going to be UAIM versus Psychopathus, a big matchup for UAIM to finally get some points on the board. As you mentioned, Fancy Pixel, they're on 0 points. This is their chance to kick off their group stage, to get some points on the board and try and get something going here in our stage 3.
Yeah, definitely. So back to you, Puffo. Which match of those matches do you think is like the match of the day for you before we look into the prediction of the talent and what everyone thought of the matches today? Who will win, who will lose?
Look, I don't want to take away from the big hype of GK versus Ryujin because you clearly see the votes there. The only one going for the underdogs is Amguns. I think
gonna go for
the
that.
most rivalry, the most toe-to-toe action will be in the final one, and that's going to be Diavoli and Myth.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's a very interesting match to see because the two teams and the players in both teams have been well established, and we have seen them a lot throughout the last couple of days, and also in other tournaments before in the T2 scene. So seeing those two teams, and I think the being this close to the skill level between both of them is going to be very close. So is going to be a very, very interesting match, I would say, to end up the night with. Back to the dark horse in the room, or the big elephant in the room. That's Amgan saying Ryujin. Let's
Bro,
talk about
someone has
that.
to give them some love. Somebody has to give them some love, okay? This team, I honestly believe that if they have a good day in the office today, they can really show up. What we saw from last week, especially on labs, is just how organized Ryujin can be, as well as their problem solving. Their problem solving, especially when they were reacting to what Myth were doing, was incredible last week. So that's why I really, it's a bit of a copium as well. I want teams to show us some class siege against the giant that is GK. But I think Ryujin, if there's any teams in the league right now that can stand up to this behemoth of a roster, Ryujin is one of them. They played so well last week, and hopefully they can build on the momentum coming off the back of last week to give GK a good showing. It will also help them, take top. Right now, it's extremely tight in the league right now. A lot of teams played to either 1-2 or 1-1. That seems to be between the teams that have all 1-1 or played 1-1 or 1-2. We've got a lot of matchups between those two teams. So this is the battle for the top today between some of these matchups. I'm really hoping Ryujin can show up today.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we still have a lot to go because I have to remind everyone this is a group stage, but this is a double round robin. What that means is every team is going to play against the same team twice. So every team has a chance to win again and get their revenge from a team they lost, or double it and give it to the next person and just get 2 wins from that team. So you're not the only one on the copium tonight, Amgans. It seems like Rowan as well is rooting for you aim in the first match of today. And speaking of which, let's go and take a look at the map bans for the first match of today, which is going to be between UAIM and Psychopaths. So, Amgans, we are heading to Clubhouse. Let's talk about Clubhouse.
Well, I mean, it's a great map, right? It's extremely basic map. Everybody should know how to play this, right? It's a map where if you come out of the gates not really knowing what's up or how you want to play the map, I think something has gone wrong, right? It's a map that everybody gets used to very early on into their Siege career. It's a map that I love to see because it's very easy to evaluate the quality of the team that we're watching because everybody knows it so well. It can be very obvious what you need to do to improve on a map like Clubhouse, because it doesn't really allow for anything funky, right? We don't normally see a lot of funny business on maps like Clubhouse because it does follow that very checklisty nature, and that's what makes it easy to evaluate, how good you are as a team, depending on how well you can execute those different steps on that checklist.
Yeah. So Amgans or Puffo, excuse me. So Puffo, for the last map, it was between Lair, one of your favorite maps, and this time, but team Psychopaths are the one who decided we have to go for Clubhouse. So what do you feel about Team Psychopaths? And I know because you've been following them and you have a little bit of a background on them. So tell me more about the team. Tell me more about the feelings of the team and how do you see them overall?
Well, I see them as a really strong team going into this year. They've been all around the qualifiers. They've been showing their name all across the board. And even though we do have one of their roster's new additions, Bami, being added in the recent 7th of July, and they're still trying to work around him, I think they've been doing so fantastically. Again, I think they deserve a spot going into the qualifiers. I think Psychopaths are the team to do it, and definitely one of the top kind of seeders going into this matchup as well. That's why I voted for them. I've been seeing them all across this place. Now, while I definitely can't discredit UAIM, I think Psychopaths just have that experience advantage when it comes in general to how proactive they've been in the scene in general.
Yeah. So let's look at the players and look up the lineup of the teams. UAIM. Here we have the players. So let's talk about UAM a little bit. Amgans, what do you feel about UAM? Because as we mentioned before, they're the team now with 0 points. So how do you feel about like what do they need to change to get their first point at least for today?
The name of the game for this roster is going to be composure. It's composed aggression is what I'm going to call it. We saw UAM be extremely aggressive in the early parts of the rounds when we got to see them last week, and that unfortunately has been their downfall. So I really want the IGL of this roster just to make sure they can stay on target, right? Their aggression can be so good. It gets them those opening kills extremely well. So once they get those opening kills like we've seen before, with the talent they have in this roster, if they can just stay composed throughout that middle phase of the round, I think they can really find some good success, because a lot of teams are extremely timid, especially in those early parts of the round. But we've seen this roster, especially with the players you see on the screen, have got that confidence to be aggressive, get in the faces of their opposition. So I want to see more of that, but just make sure they have the balance to not let that catch them out like it did last week.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, and of course, that battle is going to be very hard for them because they are facing no one other than the team of Psychopaths. And of course, we spoke about them and we spoke about the players before, but let's talk about them again for the last time, at least for today, before we get into the game and the players, while the players are getting into the lobby. So, Buffo, do you expect any, as Amgan said, funky business in Clubhouse, or do you expect things to go very tactical and very traditional way of Clubhouse?
Well, since we're playing for standings, I imagine Cicapadas aren't just going to be throwing away the match. I think they're going to be playing according to the map and, how they always tend to, because, the team's also looking to improve as they go through their journey. And, well, Clubhouse is a step there. While it is a staple of the comp scene and it has been a map with generational amounts of plays, Cicapadas, they know how to stick to the book. They know how to play that playstyle well. And honestly, I hope to see it from them, and I imagine we will.
Yeah, and we're going to see who's going to be clubbing and partying in the map of Clubhouse, and in this best of one and the first best of one of today. So let's, before in the very last minutes before we get into the game, let's look at the stats and talk about the players and talk about like the KD and the overall stats. And as we see here, Coles is one of the highlighted players so far for Team Psychopaths, having 1.13 KD and also having a survivor rate a third of 34%, which is kind of low, but he's still doing his job because, as you see, he's one of the highest kills and still also almost one of the highest KPR with his team. So, Papo, do you think Codes is going to be stepping up today as usual, as we have seen, or do you think it's more of a team effort overall?
Once a fragger, always a fragger. Coles is definitely there to support Cicapadas, and if he's the one to take initiative, I think the rest of the team are mostly there to support him while doing so. And, if he's good at it, don't fix what's not broken.
The other thing to mention about this roster is Psychopaths, although they do have a point, singular point that is, because they got an overtime loss across this stage so far, this is a big day for them, right? Psychopaths is supposed to be one of those really strong teams. There's so much experience in the roster, and we kind of need everybody in this squad just to rise up to the occasion. This is a big opportunity for them to get some big points on the board. So these stats you see on the screen now, they could be a lot better by the end of today, depending on how hard they cook today.
Yeah, and of course they will be cooking, but they will not be cooking alone, because let's look at the other side of UAM and their stats as well. And of course, some of the players here have really interesting stats to see, even though they are not the team that has like any points, as we spoke. Like you see the player that has like 22 total kills so far, and he has like, you can see like his KPR is almost like 1.04. So like that, with that KPR and with that total kill, you would think a team like that would have a better standing, but they're still unfortunate. So Amgans, we spoke about the players, and we spoke about the composure, and we spoke about that like the overall of the team. Do you think they need to focus less on kills, since already, as you can see, like a lot of the players, at least 3 of them, have a lot of kills? Do you think maybe they should start aiming less, I guess?
The kills come, as we spoke about, in those opening engagements, right? You can see Sims, he's been the standout player for this roster. I think especially for the side of UAIM, it's all about how they can support those kills. Those kills only are important if they can win you the game, and obviously them being on 0 points right now, it hasn't quite worked out the way they would have hoped. The biggest thing I want to see is what use can we get out of Nilar and Marek, right? They've not been having a great stage so far. What can we do to sort of get them involved in the game, help their team out, and just be involved to get some good success throughout this stage?
Yeah, and of course. So with that everything being said, let's see who is going to be taking the points of today first match, and we will be getting into the game, and I will be leaving you guys, Pafo and Amgans, to be enjoying the match, and let us enjoy your casting and the game as well. So guys, go ahead, take the match and enjoy.
Enjoy. That's the final famous words. We love fantasy. We love to see the Hoj, but yet again, we have a great matchup here on our hands. I'm gonna ask a very obvious question, just because it's about to be the first match, right? We just have to get this out there. Are you excited?
Of course. How can we not be excited, man? We've got such good teams, such good talent on offer, and especially as we spoke about that UAIM versus Sokopatas matchup that we're kicking off with, it's a very much back to basics for both of these teams, right, Puffer? They're going to Clubhouse as a map they should both know how to play. It's going to be a spicy playground for both of these teams to fight against each other.
Oh yeah, it's going to be real spicy. And yet again, we have to mention Sokopatas here. I'm rooting for them. I do believe you went for UAIM if my memory of a goldfish isn't failing me. But, you know, I'm interested to see who's going to be right here, especially because Sokopatas, we both witnessed both of these teams, right? We've been there for both of them. And honestly, it was a tough decision to make. I'll be completely frank and honest. Probably the roughest I had between all the predictions going into it. But Clubhouse, he said, it's the fashioned old map of comp that everyone knows. It will be UAIM versus Sokopatas right now with the first match, still 2 after as well. But as a beginner, I think this is a really good way to start setting ourselves into today. As starting off with the bands, I'm not too surprised to see the ace and a Kate.
Yeah, this is almost predictable, if you like. Especially in a map like Clubhouse, where the outside exterior walls are extremely important for the success of your attack. Both teams paying respect to that, and that's why you're seeing these hard breaches getting banned out once again.
And as for the second, nicely get the drum roll going, and it will be the Thermite and the Bandit. And yet again, this isn't really much of a shocker ongoing.
Yeah, the main thing about these bans is going to be Sokopatas need to be able to use the access they get to the building to take map control early. There's only a mute jammer left. Any kind of pocket EMPs should let you get these walls open and make some progress into your attack. That first roadblock, if you like, that a lot of teams can struggle with, has now been negated completely. So on such a defender-sided map like Clubhouse, this should make it easier for Sokopatas to start building some momentum on their attack and get some success on the attacking side.
And as for the first round here, we're going to be nicely going over towards this gym and bedroom. And, well, take a look at the lineup here from UAIM. We can talk a bit more about it because they're going to be using absolute powerhouses. They're not going to be pulling any punches going into the first round. And, well, the one that I'd be most terrified to face here is either going to be the Fenrir or the Mirror.
Yeah, both extremely strong operators, but they do have their counters as well. That rock, paper, scissors gameplay is going to be on full effect here. It's going to be all about how well Sokopatas can spot out these mini games. You have the Ash to deal with the mirrors. You have the Twitch to deal with the Fenrirs as well. There's a lot of important operators you can bring to make your life significantly easier to break down this utility. We can't not mention Sims, right? He always plays somewhat selfish operators, and that could lead into why he's been dropping so many frags across this series, because we've seen him cook on the Scopos before. It's a great operator if you want to get aggressive and get in the face of your opponents.
get at the pace of your opponent, but at the same time, we talk about faces and getting into them. Well, Danu here opening it up nicely into Garage, while the rest of the team are looking to sandwich out any Raptor player, get themselves the extension towards this red side. It's a great way to drone it out. Again, we were talking about Smith and so highly of the operator that can just get in and out, but you still have to be alive while doing so, and also Capadas are not looking to refrain from shooting back at you with an aid in combination, not able to get the kill, and in an instant, in and out, just like we said.
And wasted a good minute just on Raptors. It's all about wasting that time. Then later on in the round, you can lean into the Goyo, lean into the Mirror, lean into the Fenrir, which are all time waste operators to stall out this attack. But Psychopaths clearing these initial challenges well. And if you look at just the amount of utility they've got in the lineup, you've got the Blackbeard to make that forward progress. And look at the amount of execute heavy utility. This is the biggest thing. The Capital, the Grim, and the Ying to push these guys all the way back into sight and make them uncomfortable.
Make them uncomfortable. UAIM are already starting to feel that happen in the moment as Psychopaths are doing a good job. I mean, look at the entire side they've already taken. This is going to be control under control. Smith, for the other hand, is still going to be shooting some shots back, and that's going to be forever with great way to counter out the Twitch. So the Mirror is now a bit more safe at mind.
Yeah, there's no direct Mirror counter left, especially with the Twitch off the board. No Ash being brought to counter this utility. However, we do have the flashes, the smokes, and the fire that can deal with that utility to get their execute possible. With a minute left on the clock, they need to start figuring out where these bits of utility are going to be placed and how it's going to help them get into the bond site. Because you can see the hard wall is this connector area, the crossfires set up on logistics with Blackbeard. He's about to get some reconnaissance on the site itself.
Now, well, UAIM already claimed one. They're going to be hungry for more, but that could be the potential downfall. Good refrag back-to-back, but in the end, it's going to be back to the defense, taking it in their own lead. We do have a lot of blood to be shed, but now Psychopaths taking it in their own hand with Coles and Raxo doubling up, picking up the diffuser, overtaking side of C4 from below. Had the potential, but did not strike. And now already halfway through, sticking it there with the Candelas to the Shrub. They're trying to find a swing, but last one, Siri here, not going to be finding the succession that's wanted. Now pushing up. Ain't going to be overtaken, but with these Grimpies, you're going to be having a rough time getting yourself out there, especially with no information given to the enemy side. That's going to be one swing. The second does not go fully punished. You're already bleeding out as the current moment is ticking down. Seconds ours as well, and with little to no detail on where the attackers lie, you're just going to have to rely on gunfights, and they're both stacked up towards this bathroom. Actually, going to be a full down gym hallway site as Coles is able to get the final and Psychopaths with the opening round.
Yeah, swinging that corner, finding one guy standing, one guy prone, it's never going to work out well for you. A lovely bit of cohesion between the last two on the side of Psychopaths. But the thing I want to highlight is how well they've counted that down. With about a minute and 30 left on the clock, they decided, look, we've got all this utility. We know where we need to be. Let's just send it together. The logistics drop timed really well with the Blackbeard pushing in from connector, supported by those players on the windows, has given Psychopaths an overwhelming force and just completely crushed that gym site. There's not a lot of places the defenders can feel comfortable in, and they were completely overwhelmed when that push did come in from Psychopaths.
Completely overwhelmed. Psychopaths, yet again, great way of utility, great way of gunning it down, and UAIM were still fighting the battle for themselves, but got caught off guard from the window side, is now heading down to what would be potentially the best site in the game. Some would argue, and some would just simply state it as a fact, will be Church, and this was where you can really nicely bunker on down.
Exactly that. It favors incredibly well to the defense. It has an absurd win rate that you need to utilize if you want to find success when you're competing in these tournaments. The thing I love from Psychopaths, I think this is going to be a reoccurring theme from them, is they are bringing as much stuff as they can to try and give the advantage in their favor. This site being incredibly defender-sided, why not just bring as many tools as you can to try and make you uncomfortable, to force mistakes out of them, and we have a sense on the board as well. So a lot of those important lines of sight that we see coming in from Ewan that they need to hold may be completely negated by Raxo on that sense.
UAIM still deciding to invest some of their players into this roam game, as we see from Smith's position, but that might be quickly retraced back to site, as the Capadas now going to be sticking the Blackbeard right towards that roam clearance himself. We have the drones on the job as well, but as intended by the strategy itself, UAIM aren't going to be spreading themselves out too thin, so for now, Capadas might just be clearing out ghosts.
Yeah, they're going to go for this full roam clear, make sure that there's no one lurking in and around this top floor. Tim's actually bringing a very heavily util-based operator, not going for that scope off roam like we saw on that first round. The biggest issue I see for Skopitas, however, there's no vert in this lineup. They have the shotgun possibly on the striker, but no dedicated vertical operator, no butt, no ram. So the question is, where do we position ourselves to make the best use? But we've already lost Ash early, falling off the roof maybe?
It does seem that way. There were no shots back against him. Primin there in an instant down without any damage or bleeding prior to it. So, well, not a great way to bring down that HP for the attacking side, and especially the Ash. You want to be comfortable going into these gunfights, and with the R4C to back it up and the HP not so, it's a bit of a trade-off that makes it... Exactly. There isn't much of a trade-off, though. It's just a con in this case.
The biggest thing is if we can still get value out of the Ash. There's 2 mirrors in play, still one of the Ash charges left as well. So we can use that to clear the Moto mirror that you see Mira standing behind for that pre-placed C4. That's still a good value, right? Even if we lose the Ash, she doesn't get traded. She's made, as you can see there, she's put her utility to good use. The triple wall is completely reinforced off here, though, so UAM going for an incredibly defender-sided loadout as the C4 reigns over, but a minute left as Skopitas start knocking on the door.
So knocking on the door, but ready to break it down more or less. Breaches might be out, but guns aren't just yet. We haven't had a single player fall, even though 2 are going to be very low. It's going to be actually Coles to pick the first. Nil are there for the early drop. That's where the headshot will be delivered. But now Cicapadas need to make ground, right? They've gotten a bit of kills from the outside of the site, but making that first contact into the building, into your main objective is what matters most. And this is where it happens. Forever Nicely trying to burn it down. So we're going to be swinging back and finding Coles in return. 1-for-1, it's a fair trade, but even though not able to necessarily find those marks, Raxo is able to finish the job on 2. With the support of the rest of Cicapadas, now they need to fight only back against the Warden, the Malusi. The plant is going down. There isn't going to be much of a dying hit as you're looking at the wrong place to deny. So low HP on these attackers, and yet again, UAM here with a couple of bullets could be able to instantly shut them down. Although aren't finding the space, aren't finding the comfortability. Shadow is able to take Primin's life, but there's still 2 to remain, considering one's also a shield. The headshot there will be considered by Siri, as now in a 1v2. Time is taken, but plenty to go. A Shadow with a triple. The FPX truly does stand as a headshot machine.
That's a beautiful retake coming in from the side of UAM as they find a way to clutch this round out. 3v2 post-plant for them is lovely. It turns out that Ash being on low HP earlier from the round is going to be costly for the side of Cicapatas. As you mentioned, the MPX with a P shooter it could have been a very different story if Ash was full HP. But Cicapatas, they've been crushed on the retake. So really nice aggression shown from UAM, showing that confidence we spoke about before the game as well, to get to tie up the score 1-1.
Cicapadas, in the meanwhile, could have played it a bit more together, could have established a couple of crosses, but it matters not. They look to hold ground, and, well, for the side of UAM, the good thing is they get to find their first, but not returning to where the first one was lost. Will be back on Jip.
Yeah, we're going back to the second strongest site and running the same lineup, clearly thinking that they can make the right adaptations to hold onto the site itself. The major thing I'd like to see is maybe send a couple of C4s, or the only C4, on the mirror below. We saw them do it in the previous round as well, to try and deny that plant. The major thing that you need to adjust this time around is just stay alive long enough to support or justify that mirror being below. It's no use having that mirror below if you've lost the site completely, because you lose all that information that you need to be able to give that mirror the accurate intel on where that C4 needs to go. UAM also fell off extremely quickly last time around. Skopos, bounced out of rafters extremely quickly to preserve his life, but that gave complete control all the way up to connector for the side of Skopotas, and that's what they use, that map control, to have good success. I'd like to see them challenge on that cash side just a little bit more to waste that clock just for a little bit longer than they did last time around.
Sticking to what worked before, Cicapadas now essentially the same lineup, same players rock at him as well. UA maybe a different playstyle to try to counter it. A bit more of aggression here could be working. Smith, instead of trying to use the utility of the Skopos early on, is rather just going to be retreating from rafters and actually backing up to keep the ground and also keep that second chance in the pocket.
Yeah, so Kopotas very well drilled here. They clearly like this connector overtake, starting with the plat breach and working their way across. It's a very routine thing to say. We sort of talked about it earlier. No shenanigans here, right? A very routine attack coming in from the side of Skopotas, getting the control they want early, clearing all these different angles and just setting up all the way around the side of UA. The biggest thing is, like, Greenbox already given up once again with about a minute 40 left on the clock. Psychopaths is going to have so much control and so much ability to put pressure onto the site itself. And I feel like UAIM, they're going to crumble under this pressure. There's just not a lot of places they can sit comfortably on this site.
Taking their sweet and precious time, but I want to count it for the long run of the round here, Cicadas. Even though you've gotten construction, you've gotten the CC side of things, you still need to find the major points that hold the site together. It's going to be Logi and the side bathroom as well, top main. Don't need all of it, but at least some would be good. And what a great way here to start with some early aggression. Going to be finding damage between the teams. Definitely value for Cicadas, but not enough to find the fatal blow.
They still have that nade on Blackbeard as well to be able to deal with this Scopos shell and remove one of those key anchor positions. Pretty much most of the secondary utility already used. And this is going to follow a very similar pattern to that round before, where it's going to be all guns blazing, all utility being thrown out to overwhelm the site players. That's what Psychopaths are just thinking about as Blackbeard. I think he's going to be the trigger to get this push underway.
Questioning choices, but now the support from Hatch is going to be able to pick up first as the push from Baxies goes quickly punished by Logi, and now Forever's dropping down behind the shield. Close is able to pick up the second and a third. All of a sudden, Cicadas are back in the lead. All of a sudden, UAIM try to contest it, but these footholds are going to be going up against you, and all out down to the mirror. We've seen this situation before. A 1v2 plant going down. Not as much utility, though, so you got to make your time worth it, but Freeman going to be expecting the deep push-up and able to find the last resort, a couple of shots needed, and also the second round for the attacking side.
And we've got to give credit to Psychopaths once again, using the Blackbeard so effectively to push the defense back. It's this play right here, playing off the info of the Blackbeard. The Blackbeard does get traded, but lovely refrag coming in from the player behind him, because it just gives you so much info, so much confidence just to take the space and cause UM to start panicking. You saw in the overhead cam as well, they're all bundled up together in and around that logistics bathroom area. You just can't fight everybody when you just don't have enough of the control you need to fight this onslaught coming in from Psychopaths.
Now, Psychopaths have gone 2 for 2 in Gym and Cash, and well, the best way for UM to respond to it is not go there for another time, but rather CCTV and Cash Room. This is going to be definitely an interesting one because we don't have a Bandit, we don't have a Cade. Yes, a Tuberao is able to delay the breach, but certainly not deny it.
I think the biggest thing that I want to see from them is how long can we hold on to rafters if we do see Psychopaths go for a garage take. It's inevitable, generally speaking, that your rafters player will fall eventually. I like the fact that we're bringing a Jaeger to support Azami in that position. Now negating Capital as well is a huge buff to that Jaeger. So he's going to try and help his teammates stay alive and waste as much time as they can. And if they can just hold on to rafters longer than they're able to hold onto the CC side on their gym attack, that's going to be a great recipe for success to put more pressure on Psychopaths that they're running out of time and need to get aggressive, and that can force mistakes out from the attack.
And for sure, force mistakes. But even then, it depends on Psychopaths. Do they work well under pressure, or do they crumble beneath it? They've been the ones kind of bringing it to the table here between themselves and UAIM. So we're going to have to see it maybe switch around, because the defense definitely has a bit of a higher priority of the win rounds you'd want going into this map. Now, again, a 3-3 would definitely be acceptable, but if Psychopaths are able to pick up on the lead in the first half, quite dangerous. Now, let's speak about the positioning again with a new site, new me, and new UAIM. Also bringing out the Uzami, which is definitely going to be a deadly factor, but you got to be flushing out this bottom floor, drawing out the likes of Smith already and trying to circle about him. Psychopaths are wasting no time and making him feel uncomfortable.
Yeah, Jaeger's getting pushed from every single which way here, but the breach already opened. No Tuberao canisters used to delay this breach getting open. However, I really like the castle setup, giving that castle just that little bit of extra time to make his great escape. As now that he's left, UAIM can just almost have false pressure here. The Psychopaths now having to re-drone this once again. Castle's wasted 4 drones on his own just by playing in that area, which is going to hopefully bite Psychopaths in the butt later on when they do go for their execute.
They do end up going for the execute, but who knows? Who knows if we're even going to be allowing it. UAIM here so greatly securing it down. Their armor has not had a crack just yet. Psychopaths, even though they have a bunch of utility, not much of it has been displayed up until now.
The best thing for Psychopaths now is to try and use this control that they've worked. But look at Sims getting re-aggressive, retaking the space. And I don't think they're going to know about it either, as they're setting up to clear this Rafters player. Sims is going to be in prime position to be... Never mind.
Never mind. Rexo, they're going to be nicely. I'm going to zip around that map. I'm sorry, Amguns, but simply not allowing such foulery to be spoken. It's Cicapadas. We got to keep in mind they're not going to be allowing much mistakes to come on through, and while the damage is administered, Shadow's now just fighting for his own life, but Raxo quickly taking it into his own hands. As now two-man lead, Garage overtaken. Ewing going to be struggling and pushed back in the moment as Coles keeps on contesting, and Vexless will be found amidst all this chaos, and with a single escapade towards the Garage side. Just like that, UAIM are left in a great lead. That will be decreased by 1, but the verticality from Forever Zera takes out Niller, and now in a 1v4. Why is it always Siri? This poor soul will not be able to fight back against this many. Permin expecting, and of course committing. The shots land, and the attackers win yet another.
Why always me is what Sims is going to be thinking. But again, Psychopatas, they just snowball the momentum so well when they get that opening pick. Sims has tried to get cheeky with it. He's tried to retake that garage space, but he's been caught out. Psychopatas not having any of those shenanigans today, and they've just snowballed that momentum into killing the Rafters player, and then they've just flat out just continued their attack the way they should. Everybody in the right positions to capitalize on any aggression that shows from UAIM. And unfortunately for UAIM, once again, those aggressive plays that we've seen time and time again are really catching them out once again. It was almost a 4-0 when UAIM got over-aggressive last time they went into basement, but they managed to clutch the round out. This is going to be their best chance of negating that 2-round deficit, cutting that deficit in half, as long as they can just be patient. Their aggression is great to see, but it's not quite calculating the way it needs to be to give them the success and get rounds on the board.
They're going to slowly need to start amping it up here. Maybe they're one of those rounds that up the ante as they go on, right? Cicapadas are starting off strong. They don't necessarily need a build up on the tempo. As for UAIM, we're going to have to slowly start showcasing it. I normally give teams 3 to 4 rounds to get used to each other. But at this point, UAIM, you are on the defense. You want to make the most of it. And now going to church, we've seen you win on it before. Let's make it happen again.
Yeah, this is going to be a crucial round for UAIM, right? You're going back to the strongest site. It's been unlocked again. You're sticking to your guns. You're being a very bunker-oriented lineup. This is where we need to see them lean into it. Something from UAIM, they were playing in positions that were on top of Goyo canisters last time around that didn't let them activate that utility to stall out Psychopatas. So hopefully we understand kind of where we've placed our utility and how we can use it to stall out these attacks. Because until UAIM overpeaked, they were doing very, very well. There was low time on the clock. They just needed to hold their ground. As Psychopatas, this time around, however, I think they've realized it's a bunker again and taken this map control extremely quickly.
Gotta keep velocity within your game plan. There's no doubt about it. But again, Cicapadas, as much as you can clear this top floor as soon as you possibly can and try to be fast at it, that will not matter, because what's most important is getting yourself into the site. Now, we've said this before, but yet again, UAIM are strict on keeping this bunker down and playing across their utility. Now, although the last time they won this round, it was due to a bit of a hero play, they still won it, and results matter most. Although Cicapadas having a bit of difficulties fighting against this verticality in Siri there, you nasty dog, right? So put down easily, and just a loss of the Sens already, not looking great.
That is a phenomenal shot coming in from the defenders there to take down one of the key execute operators coming in for the attack. And this is where Psychopatas trying to use this control, picking and prodding to get themselves in, but UAIM sticking to their strategy, not trying to give up anything earlier. Now that they've worked that man advantage as well, they can just dig deep. The drone economy has been lost, but the trade comes back from Coles as Blackbeard just sitting on main stairs trying to apply that pressure onto UAIM.
And apply that pressure, they've been doing so quite well. Yet against Cicapadas, this is their golden ticket to victory. And well, if it's going to be the second kill, so it might be. Forever here going to be able to pick up onto Smith's life, able to put him down as well. And the third one will not follow. Shadow is going to be able to actually avenge his fallen comrades. But the second swing getting overzealous in the moment still is alive. And mid-reload, Vex is there with the perfect timing, able to execute off of teamwork at its finest, and finding the swing on Moto Diffuser. Drop Siri breaks it down, yet another one. And speaking about the number one, Danu, can we be the one to win this outcome? Both are swinging yet again, try to play off of that aggression, finds now one, and in a 1v1 against the shield, this is the situation that you do not want to be stuck in. I imagine that Vexios is going to be completely sweating, dripped down the drain. The final one, just looking for the headshot. Trying to pop him in the moment. Not able to find it as it's a bit of a ring around the rosy. The impact there to try and save herself. Jumping up onto the box. What power move is this? Knocks away his shield 2 times. The pistol is theirs, but Danu turns his attention away. Turns his back to his enemy and allows the Goyo to clutch in once more.
Blackbeard swiping his mouse a little bit too far there, exposing the back of his head to the Goyo, trying to counter that shield break that the Goyo has initiated. But UAIM, they brought it back in the middle of the round. Someone must have called for a reset or a chill out or something, as they understood that Psychopaths are now the ones being over aggressive. We've punished that aggression and we've got the advantage. Now we can just hold our crossfires and kill the remaining players. So a big round in terms of momentum for the side of UAIM to try and salvage this 3-3 split. But is it too little too late? A 3-3 split for Psychopaths is pretty good on a map that is this defender-sided.
Good indeed. UAIM again. Found it. Now the track record on this side hasn't been the best, but maybe we can try learning from the past mistakes. Psychopaths always have this type of same pattern going into the site. I feel like we've both noticed at Amguns because it always tends to end the same.
I mean, it leans into Psychopaths' playstyle, right? They needed to get points, and they are showing no mercy here today. They are bringing a combination of the 3 strongest execute-heavy operators, but the reason they're getting value again out of these execute-heavy operators is because they're being allowed to get into positions with time on the clock to set up the executes. We've not really seen very much of a force being shown in an extension. Generally speaking, that cash side, you want to aim to waste like a minute and a half on that side, so that way it's not as easy for the attack to basically calculate where everyone needs to be, where all of that utility is going to go, or try and counter some of that utility by just straight up taking it off the board, finding a kill early, and that can really just disrupt the whole round that Psychopaths are trying to go for it.
Early utility here. Yet again. Cavada's play style. So the name of the game. They get it. They push on forward according to it. But the aggression from UAIM here is going to be something that I like seeing. Pushing up, Vexil is trying to find the one that opened the breach. While Shadow will be finding a bit more succession elsewhere as Coles' life is now taken out. But that's the Ying most importantly. And again, you want to reserve operators for that. Cavada's not the best of ways to start it off.
That's exactly what I wanted to see. More aggression towards this side of the map, as they've been rewarded for it as well. The Psychopaths may be underestimating the fact that UAIM kept giving them the space, but now he's a player to catch them out. Really good stuff from UAIM to take out a critical operator that Psychopaths have been using to flush the defense out. But now that CC side has been cleared, a very similar amount of time left on the clock here for Psychopaths to work with. Their drone economy is phenomenal as well here, Puffo. As still 7 drones to work with and lots of time on the clock, they can figure out exactly what they need to hit and who the weak spot's going to be in this defensive lineup.
It's going to be the weak spot, the weakling, the one to really snap UAIM in half right now. Psychopaths are seeking for it yet once more, but UAIM are playing extremely accordingly. Again, they're allowing Psychopaths to get this ground, but if UAIM can go off these swings, get themselves, again, the advantage in the man count and play off of the utility, that's what's found them greatness in the past, and although Smith is attempting to do so, and even seeing the adaptation, they've been shot out from this Logi hatch before, but with the help of Vexes, it's going to be quickly put down to rest. Although forever, can't take him out of account. Right from windows, you got to be checking all your nooks and crannies, and whatever the site is opened in. Psychopaths do return one, still going to be a bit behind, but this entry into the site is slowly being established, although without the diffuser, don't necessarily have much of an objective here.
Still got 4 Grimbies in pocket, right? This area denial can be an extra man for us. It can isolate those lines of sight as the smoke grenades start to funnel out. They're trying to get ready to go in here and get creative to try and get this kit down.
Looking for the crab, but a bit is exposed here. Siri able to get the swing onto the window. That's going to be another off the count. You aim. This is greatness we've been seeking. The Vixel there will be dispersed in Shadow there with a good swing onto Danu. A second one to follow quickly with it. The pea shooter strikes yet again. And now with a 3-3 split, they made up for the past mistakes.
And this is brilliant stuff from UAIM. The adaptations paying off really well to salvage that 3-3 split. And that's the composure we wanted to see out of UAIM. They understood the fights they need to take and what they don't need to fight, and they've been rewarded for it. Good decisions get you good rewards. Now, hopefully, UAIM can take that composure into their attacks to make sure that they have smooth and effective attacks as well going into their attacking half.
Going into their attacking half, yet again, I think UAIM are going to be able to consistently pick it up. Now, the bans here are going to be essentially the same. I think we're going to see a Bandit, we're going to see an Ace, so the side of Psychopaths aren't going to be able to necessarily play around that top floor. Yep, there it is, the Thermite as well, so UAIM can't just get themselves illy-willy breaches as much as they please. But now it's up to these teams. Who gets the ball rolling? Who picks up the lead yet again? Well, I guess we're about to find out.
We are going to find out indeed. And the question becomes, right, they're going to get the breaches open. What do we do once those breaches are open? And Danu on the Clash is going to be a perfect example of one of those things that you can do. You can stand and fight, or you can try and be creative in the way that you want to deny the plant. Attackers, the pressure is on them to have to come after you or get that kit down. And Danu bringing the Clash, clearly showing Psychopaths want to get aggressive, they want to fight. They want to have the tools available to them to fight back against the aggression that UAIM have shown time and time again, as we will be going to basement first. A bit of a change, Puffer, as UAIM opting to go gym first, Psychopaths clearly believing that basement is the strongest side.
Yeah, the superiority of this basement, the true reigning map, and Psychopaths are wasting no time in trying to exercise it, but at the same time, we're having ourselves quite a big elephant in the room, or at least a shield on the defense that does bug me out a bit.
Especially with these bans always being hard breach centered, I'm surprised that UAIM haven't locked in any shields of their own. We saw amazing use of the Blackbeard coming out by Psychopaths. I feel like, especially in the meta right now, Puffer, you need to have almost a designated shield player to use an operator that's so strong when they are available to be used.
100%. Ah, sure, deadly. Put the shiver in my timber when I go into a ranked match against it. But oh well, Psychopaths are now looking to scare UAIM out of their boots. As for the rest of the lineup, we can't really necessarily pinpoint anything. UAIM gotta go by the book. Just simply take over Garage, get the ground, make sure Psychopaths aren't lurking a bit too much as they please, and getting rid of this environmental utility, which again, can play a huge role in the later part of the round.
I love the fact that UAIM's drone game is on point. They've identified that Psychopaths are running a very similar strat. They're going to be full bunkering in the site itself, and within a minute, they already have that mid-floor control to start working this execute. They've got the verticality and the Grim with the Capital to be able to work this bottom floor. This is a prime example of adapting to your opponents, understanding you don't need that Deimos, that Dokubi as a great line of sight, not utilized there. Oh, it's because of the Clash, that's why.
Clash, yes. I'm telling you, Danu's really doing an assy. And the second any utility is going to be used against the shield, you can just pick it up and play it safe, right? But no, we don't necessarily spot any nades either from UAIM, nor an Ash chart. So this Clash is going to be safe and sound as long as the Capital doesn't force his utility out on it. And Danu with the swing on main, going to be able to pick up Smiths and Hillar, although does take out the Clash, which again, Psychopaths, you want to reserve that for as long as you can. Although 1-for-1 deal, not going to be the best, but I fear that the attackers gained value here.
The Zofia was also a designated counter to the Clash. So basically traded operator for operator that basically counter each other perfectly. So a good use of Sims, even though he's gone down, to clear this position, a sacrifice well worth paying to get yourselves this control you need. As you can see, so much utility stacked up here. But now they need to either rotate Habana to get this church wall, or they need to commit to going for this kitchen hatch drop. There's only two ways to get in here with 40 seconds, the clock ticking down, Puffo. They need to decide quickly and where they're going to go and start getting these players in the right positions to start sending this in. As you can see, they just seem a little bit uncertain what they want to hit here as that clock keeps on ticking.
Keeps on ticking. One after another, seconds are passing on by, and UAIM slowly need to enter this site. Yet again, there's going to be pressure against them, and that's what the clock does to the worst of times. And with the Mute Jammers accommodation, these breaches aren't going to be much success, but a possible swing here from Coles could be finding some value. Just, you got to be really careful with what you open on the attacking side. But 10 seconds remain here, and UAIM, what are we waiting for? The diffuser is upstairs and possibly dropping into blue. We're still shattering windows with 5 on the count. That's going to be a drop onto Miller. The Capitao not even close to side being dropped. That's blue side. An absolute catastrophe. Psychopaths, you gotta get your rights before your wrongs. Come on.
Yeah, UAIM, unfortunately for them, just completely stalling out. They had the Capital, the Grim, but that church wall being completely closed off. Mute Jammers, might I add, to stop the breaches happening on that triple wall, has completely stalled out the side of UAIM. Because they didn't have the dirt control, possibly feeling uncomfortable when it comes to going for that kitchen drop, too many guns pointed that way, trying to force the issue down main, but just completely stalling out at that Moto door, not really having that layer they need to pinch onto the generator player and get themselves into sight.
It's here. Not enough to do it. But again, the round is going to be theirs, and, well, now going top floor, and M-Guns I've seen, I'm going to ask you a question. I'm going to make sure you're paying attention to this match because you're the brains here. And, UAIM constantly kept on pushing here. Cicapadas were constantly on the same tempo, wavelength. They got the majority of the rounds on this side. What could UAIM really do here to try and deny that?
The biggest thing is going to be being aggressive. It seems almost counterintuitive to what I was saying before the game, especially on the attack, right? They just need to have that confidence that we've seen them exert in previous games when it comes to their execute. We saw, especially on that Labs game, the Lair game, sorry, how aggressive UAIM can be. And that's where I think operators like the Blackbeard, the Blitz, they can lean into that aggression with those operators. As we see, they're just not bringing those tools to help them be aggressive and get in the faces of their opponents. But that's a lovely opening pick there onto Forever for the side of UAIM to kick things off.
Lovely pick to open it up, and yet again, the value here is going to be UAIM's. Now, can they keep it this? Earlier, again, they were able to start it off quite nicely. Maybe it was a one-for-one deal, but it's the continuation that matters. It's how you keep on riding the wave, and for UAIM here, maybe not necessarily taking out any major utilities, still down to alive, right? The Jaeger has his utility still on board. The attackers are having a bit of difficulties with opening some of these walls, especially with the Maverick trick, and you want to be faster, especially considering how the previous round went.
Yeah, I mean, Mav being used to guarantee this wall gets open is never a bad thing. It is now opened up indeed. It did take a while, but you got there in the end. It's better to get open than not get it open, and it's just going to be that clash extension over towards this cash side. The con will reinforce, but Jaeger taking some pressure down below.
Taking the pressure away, trying to distract UAIM and their push and make them realize that there's still a threat lurking. Now, are they going to be trying to go for a plan B, split their team? It seems that way because we can see the Buck multitasking with verticality towards cash side, but at the same time, looking for the hunt against Raxo. Now, although a bit of damage the caster has already taken, it seems there has been gunfights and blood to be shed downstairs. It will also be transferred onto the site directly. From in here, a bit of damage, not too much, slap on the wrist. UAIM are looking to extend slowly, but I do like the patience and caution.
And this is the great play from Clash. She's understood she can retreat. The con wall being reinforced gives her that retreating option. And this is now UAIM's time to shine. Can they show they can use their utility well? Can they make Sokopatas uncomfortable on positions that they know there's going to be defenders in? There's not many spots for defenders to sit in on this top floor. Bathroom and logistics being the two main ones. 4 flashbangs in pocket. Can they make it Flash City to get UAIM into the site and overwhelm Sokopatas on this gym site?
Smith is going to be able to find Primin, but it depends on how long they're going to be able to stick out because Raxo's coming in for the saving play, and another to fall thanks to the UMP-45 striking for a second. The plant is going down, but not for so much longer. The Babe will be stuck on through, but Siri, not considering how much HP is left in the chamber, is now a bit stuck between a hard place and a rock, that's for sure. Cicapadas definitely hold the upper hand while the utility has been disbanded. Your planter's alone, away from the rest, being cross-help from the side of construction and contested by 2. Cole's able to duel up with a Clash, who's being struck back by the attacking operator, as now the case has gone cold, and Cole's coming in hot with a good final kill, and Cicapadas now 2 rounds ahead.
And logistics being the key power position that UAIM haven't been able to deal with. And it's just that team cohesion. They've got someone riding the bulletproof in gym as well, and that's what's caused that take to go so backwards. There's full information on where that kit's going down. That's why the smoke babes are so accurate and they can deny that plant. There needed to be more pressure on that logistics side so that mirror can't be used to such an effect to repel that attack. But UAIM, to give them credit, they went together, they went fast, they got themselves into the site, which is progress. In this tag timeout, they could use that as a positive to build some momentum. They did what they need to do. They took that cash side well, they got themselves up to con and got themselves into sight. Those little things in the execute are easier to fix than the whole attack itself. So promising signs for UAIM on their attacking half.
Missing signs indeed. And while this timeout has now concluded, again, teams don't do this enough. That's what T2 is about. That's what T1 is about. Teams actually utilizing their tactical timeouts against each other. Now the Cicapadas have started charging up this spree of rounds one after another. I do believe it's been about 3 or 2 at least. 2 in the second half, that's for sure. Cicapadas on their defense have been looking great, and they're 1 away from match point within regulation. It's a scary thought, right? So we nicely calm down the tempo. We get ourselves on even ground, and considering this is going to be the site we're playing without a bandit and a Cade, again, Cicapadas need to make sure this is ours, but UAIM, their attack has definitely been struggling up until now.
I think the other pattern we've been seeing every round so far for Sokopatas has been this clash. Is it time to start bringing a dedicated clash counter to the board to try and make our attacks easier? She's been a massive pain for the side of UAIM to deal with. Should we start bringing the Kali? Can we start doubling down on the Zofia and the Ashe to be able to deal with this utility that she brings? As we see her lurking over towards that rafters sign, as the runner side forever, extending out towards this gym side, which is not seen too often.
Yeah, I was going to mention, this isn't something that we see a lot, right? Although Jim definitely holds a great deal, and it's going to maybe delay a bit of time from UAIM and their utility, right? They're going to need to force punch it down, or if they want to have an easier entry through windows. In general, normally you don't see the vendors stretching out so thin, especially so far and wide, because right now, UAIM, while they might be crunched if they go into this construction site alone, you can simply ignore them. Again, they can flush them out. These players are going to be stuck in a matter of no moments, and while though you do have two players there to back each other up, it's still plans for the slaughter to some degree.
Could be a little bit of one review as well, coming from the side of Sarcophagus. We can see UAIM sending a lot of bodies over towards that gym side, so this could be a little one review action coming in clutch for the side of Sarcophagus, researching their opponents, understanding that they favor this gym side to take, because look how well prepared they're going to be for these gym players coming in. They've actually fallen off this ground already, understanding that we've wasted the time. We can now start to give this up as players running through basement to make the epic rotation back to site.
What a getaway card here for the side of Sarcophagus. Sneaky and tricky. Now UAIM's time has already been wasted. And again, Sarcophagus are good at doing that. That's the part of the playstyle, and they're going to keep it consistent. If it's not broken, don't fix it. You know what I mean? The Dokkaebi Call one has already been used, and although we do see X is here fighting against two, the cross towards Garage, trying to swing it out, but smoking your own teammates is going to be a questionable decision. Coles will be putting them back, you know, pushing that aggression. You're not going to die just yet. I'll keep you alive for now, but you got to be careful of what we're holding, and although UAIM aren't pushing Garage.
Got to be a misclick for sure. But this is going to be UAIM. Can we now use the control we've gained? We force the Sarcophagus back to the site itself with a minute on the clock. This is where is Mav really going to be the best hard breacher for the job to get this con wall open? Your attack's going to start really stalling out unless you can get through the con wall. Azami caught lacking as Sims is going to find a freebie as that clock keeps ticking down.
Keeps ticking down. Sarcophagus is going to be one down as well, and although they're going to be completely overran by the utility, it's all red on the defensive. They're being caught, they're being stung by bees. At the same time, though, spotted through the smoke, and Cole's able to return. It's a great way of sending it around, but it doesn't matter as UAIM are going to be simply having a tenfold on their value. A swing here towards Raptors, going to be able to find Smithson's third, and Vexy's out from below, able to finish the job now. The timeout certainly showing its worth, and a round back from the lovely UAIM.
And the can opener's paying off. They didn't just bring the Mav. They're able to get that con wall open. They're able to exert the pressure. Lovely stuff from Sims as well. Hopping in the CC window, creating carnage for his team. It's UAIM's time to shine. They've gone together on that tertiary bomb site. But is that the problem? It's the tertiary bomb site for a reason. So Sarcophagus, they're now going to have basement available and then gym after that to try and close this game out. We really need to see that cohesion paying off again for UAIM, as I think a pretty obvious target ban coming out for the side of Sarcophagus by having the clash removed from their defensive lineup.
Clash was removed, honestly not a surprise, right? Sarcophagus have been really working well off of the Clash. It has been a bit of a staple to the strategy, and considering that now they have the availability of going back downstairs yet again, it's either it would have had to force UAIM with some utility changes around the lineup, or, of course, right, trying to challenge again and consider your players dying. So not the best of deals. Better to just get it on out there. And, well, as for the side of Sarcophagus, I didn't got the Grim. I think it's just about the same. Strong operator. We've seen him used by UAIM a bit too much, so he can leave the field.
There's two things about this round I'm really curious to see. The first is, where are we going to be playing this castle? As you see him heading all the way up to the top floor, so maybe a little bit more of an SSG style roam coming in this time around. The other thing to mention is one of these mirrors is not going to be going on the church wall. We saw the Azami, she reinforced the outside of church, mainly to probably help her on her pathing to get up into the second and third floor just that little bit faster. But that being reinforced backwards, it just asked me a question of where are we going to be putting this other mirror? If we take it up the stairs to waste even more time on the roam game, that could be a real thorn for the side of UM to deal with.
Definitely can be. And now, it's Gavadas yet again. It's playing their style of aggression. They're spreading 3 players on out. I imagine they have their escape routes already set up as well. But UAM going to be deciding to pluck out the Monty, push him into dirt, while the Goyo canisters will be there. He's able to clear out nice and early, even essential utility, show himself off to the defense, and possibly have UAM questioning if this roam is truly worth it.
Yeah, UAM looking to go maybe possibly direct, and I like the fact that they've lent into the Monty as we almost execute our vertical operator. Is not an ideal way to start the round. However, they've got full info here on this player in stock buffer. Can that information pay off for them?
Can that information pay off? And look at Smith just boogieing around. The Goyo canisters being set right in front of his eyes. A bit of a tease here from Cole. He's trying to play some mind games, but it doesn't matter. Smith's is an unbreakable shield, an unmovable force, and an indestructible object in this case. Just moving forward, piling into sight, getting all the information required, as of course UA will require it if they want comfortability going on to the side. While in the meanwhile, going to be challenging Nillar from the outside, expected the common swing, and at the same time, the repel there, it's always there to secure that hallway, but it seems like Raxo's been practicing.
I say you gotta win those. Your one job is to hold on to main stairs, but they haven't got the kitchen hatch open yet either. It's allowing Goyo to play second box basically for free, and this is the stall out coming in from the side of UM has allowed Psychopath's players. Look at the amount of people just holding dirt. They understand how one-dimensional of a take this is, but they're making it work. Shadow finds one, the C4 rains out puffer, and Shadow finds a second.
And finds a second, just like that. You called it. 2 have already left the field, and Cicabadas are still having a bit of a struggle. The C4 connection there could have been game-changing, but as they don't find it, UAM are simply going to step back. They've gained the advantage they wanted, and now they can continue on with the original plan.
This is where we can start to put that capital and the sense to use to get Monty in once again. You've been rewarded for that team play between the Shield and Monty. The road sense gadgets are not exactly what you need if you want to be dropping this hatch.
And Aqua Tape going to be necessarily working against you rather than in your favor, as UAM are going to be pushing 2 ways. Yet again, overtaking dirt, returning back to it. Earlier, they left it to give Cicapadas this false sense of security, but now coming into new, might have been expecting the likes of Vexies as able to take out the first, get the EQ out, and as well, even though the tapes are getting rolled from the side of Shadow, you still need to resource some of these players, and the diffuser is knocked down upstairs yet again. We've seen this on the first round of the second half, and with Forever coming in to clutch it out, it's all finished, done, and dusted. The rest of the players are caught hook, line, and sinker, and Cicapadas are now on match point.
It's just the organization, Puffer, is too good from Psychopaths. They're just reading into these attacks so well to understand where they need to position themselves, what places, what key power positions are being uncontested. Those players in main stairs not seeming to be on any opponents on main stairs means that they're free to play that position. They can use the feet holds, they can use the rotate they made to deny that hatch drop as UAM sensing off AKs, but nobody there. Not really an optimal use of those gadgets. I think it's UAM in those time crunch situations, just lacking the composure that we wanted to see from them, and that's what's bringing Psychopath the edge right now. UAM had great ideas. It's just that execution of the way they wanted to use it is just a little bit off, and at that level, that can be so costly for you.
Going to be extremely costly, and well, Cicapadas are now going to be holding the jingle. It's match point for us over UAM, and just having them be at bay with the mental game. It's now 2 rounds. They need to be as little flawed as possible from the attacking side. Well, Cicapadas, you claim one of them. They're going home early, and no OT going to be required. Able to rank up in the standings, as although Cicapadas, yet again, they clearly held the lead. UAM haven't been doing necessarily bad.
It's just those little moments that UAM haven't been able to keep it together that's really been costing them. We're going to see Psychopaths. It's their turn to take a play out of the UAM playbook, bringing the Skokos to hopefully be a roaming presence to delay this attack from coming in. UAM are going to stick to bringing the Maverick, get these things open for sure with the Mav. I'd like to see him get this open a little bit faster. He's been double mapping the top of this wall, which you don't actually need to do to get this open. It does reliably get open a little bit better than doing it once, but it just takes time. And that's not been UAM's friend throughout this game so far. But getting Jacuzzi and that CC side open relatively early is going to give a lot of control, a lot of access to UAM to start taking this map control that Psychopaths are holding right now.
UAim now gonna be forcing most of the resources here yet again. CC Cash. And although Cicapadas definitely interested in playing aggressive early on because Raxo is already going to be confronting Shadow and able to find the opening. That's going to be the Ashe as well. So taking out some of these deployable shields as the major one on top red will be difficult. Just swinging on towards construction window and getting out safe and sound. Of course, UAim here should be able to punish it, but without that punish, Cicapadas get away with it.
And just look how much more aggressive Psychopatas are being on this side of the map. UAim only had the scope offer to waste that time. Psychopatas dedicating 3 different bodies to wasting this time and burning and getting frags as a result of it too.
Oh, and now just with a run out, that is a good attempt, but Neela are going to be able to quickly shut the thought. Although exchanges have still happened, the C4 was still able to connect, and UAim are 1 man down nonetheless.
And Skopos making his epic return back to site, but Psychopatas, the hard work is done. You've got yourself the advantage that you were looking for. Now you can just sit pretty and wait for UAim to funnel into your arms.
Oh.
Dano, what is that? What a lovely shot from him, taking the head off Neela as UAim just falling 1 by 1 here.
It's 1 by 1. Cicapadas here are making it look like a just in this final round, or is it the final one just yet? It does seem to be going that direction. It's Raxo there with a final swing. Cicapadas have been hiding an ace up their sleeve, and the name of it is aggression. It's the ace of aggression, able to find it, get it out. 7-4, a quick win, and right back on schedule, we get ourselves the first victory of today.
We do indeed, and Psychopatas finally getting a big 3 points to get themselves up towards the top of the scoreboard. That's a big result for them. Finally get some points, and I think their confidence will be in a much better place when they re-establish that they do understand how to play Clubhouse. That was a solid performance from them, making sure all the basics were done well and rewarded extremely well for it as well.
100%. I think Cicapadas really have this map down to the line. They really went in aggressive. They used teamwork, but again, they just had a nice little jack of all trades gameplay that is really complemented by this map. There's a reason it's so well known. There's a reason everyone knows majority of the strategies and how to push it. But Cicapadas, they're just good in all fields, and that's where they caught UAim off guard. They could switch up the tempo from 1 second to another like it's night and day. Well, they got themselves the victory. There's no doubt about that. But of course, I still think that, I do believe this was a very important match here for UAim, which does break my heart.
Yeah, UAim, unfortunately, still on 0 points. Just not been able to get the momentum they needed. And unfortunately for them, it just comes to their aggressive nature, right? I think Psychopatas have understood that UAim like to be aggressive. They like to swing a lot. And unfortunately, a lot of these situations, UAim didn't need to be aggressive, right? Sometimes you just need the patience to win the round out. UAim did show round to round that they can have that patience, but I think in certain situations you need to lean into it a lot more. There's times to be aggressive and there's times to be patient. UAim haven't quite got that balance right yet, and it's really been costing them, especially from last week and into this week. However, there's so many games yet to play, Puffo. There's a lot of time where they can work on that and come back stronger in these next games.
100%. UAim, this is just a learning curve, right? Every team loses at some point. It's not like Cicapadas have been going flawless since the day they were born and started touching Siege. No, they have had their losses. They've climbed the ranks. And in this time and day, they just definitely showed that their experience is a bit more valuable than the side of UAim. But UAim are definitely going to be coming in back next time around a lot stronger. And of course, showcasing what they truly can do. And of course, this is just another one of those matches. This is only the first best of one here today as well. And well, we're going to be back on desk here with the lovely Fancy. And Fancy, I'm going to be asking you a question. What did you think of the match?
Oh, wow. The turns have tabled. So, yeah, that's a very interesting match to see because as we were speaking, Clubhouse is one of the maps that all of the teams play default, and everyone knows the essentials and everyone knows what everyone is doing, and there is no new funky business, as Amgan said before. And yeah, it seems to be the same way because we had a 3-3 split, everything was even, but then things started to crack up a little bit between now and then for UAim, and that's how Team Psychopatas took the victory, and that's how they took the upper hand. Yet I know it's another day another defeat for UAIM, but they're slowly but surely getting there. So one day we still have a lot of games to play. As we said, this is a best of one, yes, but it's a double round robin. So they still have another chance to play not only against Psychopaths again, but they have a chance to play against all of the teams once more.
100%. I mean, they have the options, they have the availability. It's all spread out there. It's a beautiful rainbow that we get over here at Voltage League. And while it's getting developed, I mean, personally, I think that was a well-won out round by Psychopaths. I think they also have great potential in their following matches. Although one of the previous ones they played, Psychopaths did go 7-2, or rather lost, I do believe, 7-2 against Geeky. So there's still some fear factors out there, some teams that might have them a bit shaken up, but in general, I think that was a great match for the first one, and we have more as well. So are you excited for the next one? Because I know you bet it on Ryujin.
This is the game. This is the game.
This is it.
I seem to be the only one backing Ryujin here, as I honestly believe, right? I spoke about it in the pre-game show as well. I cannot wait until we start breaking down this next map. Ryujin's shown, especially against a very experienced side of Myth, how well they can be reactive, right? In that game that we just watched, UAIM never really understood that Psychopaths were almost baiting the aggression, right? We needed to see that gameplay shift come out from UAIM if they wanted to find success, as they kept trying sort of the same play style over and over, and they didn't really ever adjust to the fact that that wasn't going to work. It's the complete opposite story from what we saw from Ryujin the week before. Ryujin were adapting to everything that Myth were bringing. It didn't matter what take was thrown at Ryujin, especially on the defense, even on the attack as well. There's major spots on the map that Ryujin just understood so well how to take, and I think that's what's going to make them the dark horse going into this matchup today.
Yeah, and of course, as Pafo said, there are some forces to be feared, and there are some forces that not to be challenged or reckoned with. And speaking of which is going to be one of the teams that is going to play the next match, which is GK, and also Team Ryujin, that is Amguns, is trying to prove us all wrong and thinking they will win today against GK. Maybe it will be their day. We will see about that. So, okay, let's talk about the teams and let's talk about that. And of course, guys, take a screenshot of this and then we will just spam Amguns on Twitter after the game and laugh at him a little bit. Maybe, or the vice versa. Maybe he will put this and they'll be like, I was right.
I was the only one. I was the only one who believed.
I believed. I believed.
We've already had a bit of a sketchy showing today. Rowan, our lovely producer, backing UAIM to win that first game. His prediction didn't come true. So me being the only one who's backed Ryujin, I'm hoping they can make it happen. We can't have both of the underdogs lose in a convincing fashion today, Pafo. I think we need one of these guys to prove one of the staff's predictions correct.
We need one of them. We can't be going home without an underdog victory. And, well, honestly, it's a fair play here because, right, if your prediction isn't right, you can just say, I went for the underdogs, I was hoping. But if they do win, the glory you're going to carry on your shoulders, or Ryujin are going to be so happy to see this being as the only prediction, and they're going to be like, oh, Amguns, they're going to be cheering in the background. But in general, yes, I think even though Geeky clearly have the advantage. I mean, the reason everyone is voting for Geeky, and for anyone that might not know, Geeky are the T2 Slayers. They have been in Combine, they won it right now, had Pengu as a sub, they've been all around the place. Geeky are on a good path to T1. As for the side of Ryujin, well, no discredit to them, right? They're a great team. It's the issue that they just haven't had the achievements Geeky have displayed.
Yeah, that's exactly that, right?
Exactly, and also not to undermine also or undersell Ryujin at any shape or form, because we saw them last week and they came as the underdogs in last week as well, and they were playing against Myth and they won a 7-5 victory, which would still a very interesting thing to see, because in the end, yes, maybe sometimes you would be like, you would be winning sometimes you would be going into a match going into a match a little more tense, because you would be expecting a harder opponent, or an opponent that's going to give you more difficult time than expected, and it's not the usual siege that we see, and that's the thing in this league. This league is going to give us, and it is already giving us, a very, very interesting siege to see. So let's talk about the map that we will be playing in this match. Buffo, seeing this map ban and we going into Chalet, do you think this is a map you expected we would be playing in such a match between those two teams?
Well, I'm looking at this from the perspective of a BU1. Call me a statistics nerd in this case, but Chalet is the best map, or at least one of the top 3 when you go for best of ones. It's going to be Nighthaven, it's going to be Clubhouse, it's going to be Chalet. Those are the safe picks, right? And the final 2, Nighthaven and Chalet, unsurprisingly. Although Layer, Ryujin, I will remember this, but in general, Chalet is expected, and I think that Ryujin, what they're looking to do is play off of the aggression. They're good on it. The difference between Nighthaven and Chalet, which I think we can all agree on, I think Camguns is also probably going to go way deeper into this, is it's aggression or strategy.
Yeah, it's one of those things where it's fascinating to see these bans, because if we think back to last week, GK had phenomenal success against Psychopatas on Chalet, and Raijin had phenomenal success on Labs against Myth. I think this is a very easy ban coming in for the side of GK if it's going to be between Chalet or Labs for the final ban, because they played extremely well on a map like Chalet, which suits their fragging out nature. And we've just seen how effective that fragging out nature can be on a map like Chalet when GK are playing it. But there is ways that you can combat that aggression. We've just seen Psychopatas use the Clash to fight back. A lot of that Shield Jaeger combinations can be used extremely well to stop yourself from getting steamrolled. So this is going to be fascinating to see if it's going to be an all guns blazing matchup, or if it's going to be a bit more of a calm, composed approach from either of these teams.
Yeah, and it's going to be a very interesting match to see, especially the way that GK played Nighthaven or Chalet last week specifically. But before we speak about GK, let's take a look at the players from Ryujin, and let's talk about the stats, because you see here there is some wild numbers. Huxi being a player with 23 kills, and also Neos with 21 kills. So that's a very big number just for a team that played 2 games. This is in a 2 best of ones, and they got this amount of kills. That's basically, if you split it by half, you're gonna be like 11 kills almost per game. That's a big number if you think about it, and that shows that Ryujin also have some gun power that they can use against a team like GK. So Puffo, do you think Ryujin could be able to do this exact power and frag power that they're used to do in the last 2 days or the last week against a team like GK?
Against a team like GK, again, there's a reason I predicted for GK. I won't call any shots and say that they can do it, but if it is someone to do it, I think it's Ryujin, because I'll be honest, last week when they played against, I believe it was Myth, they caught me off guard. I did not know they had the sauce, and well, they definitely showed it. So GK might be in a bit of trouble here, I'll be honest.
And as you said, right, I had to do a double take there. I had to check that was a 20 kill bomb being showed by Howixy there as we look at GK's stats as well. And we just highlighted Howixy and how well of a season or stage he's been having as well. Comparatively to GK, look how even the kills and the stats are spread across this GK roster. Buffer Bob, you mentioned so well the accolades that GK have established across their time in esports, but this roster especially has been frying people, right? Like, they have been just the talent they have on offer. You've got XT1 players in the form of Hungry in this roster. Just there's so much talent available, and it's showing in the stats as well. All of them doing their part. to contribute to the success. But I believe our game is ready, Puffo. So let's, without any further delay, get right into the action.
All right, we're already rubbing our hands together. We're getting ready into this matchup, and yeah, like you mentioned, these kills are very terrifyingly close. Like when it comes down to the KD, I'm gonna be honest, I have never seen such terrifically close scores. 1.4 for 3 players and 1.36 for Packable. That is crazy stuff here from GK. But hey, team chemistry is working its doing its thing, that's for sure. So, well, we're gonna have to see if that works against Ryujin when going on to Chalet, because Ryujin, while though maybe a bit more reliant on a single player, are still gonna be a team that can definitely work their way around teams. And again, showcased in the past, maybe it also is showcased in the present. And to not waste any more of your time, we're going to be having to sadly leave Fancy here as we're slowly heading into the match, I believe. Fancy, no, don't leave us again.
Fancy.
I'm gonna go away. The match is gonna start now.
There it is. Fancy leaves us yet again. L in chat, or rather F in this case. We're gonna miss him, but up until next time, Ryujin and Kike still match up here on Chalet, best of 1, and let's see who claims the throne.
I'm backing Ryujin, man. I'm sticking to this prediction. I'm hoping they come out swinging, start sticking it to this behemoth of a roster. As the first of the bans coming in, it is going to be shields taken off the board for Ryujin. They are such a tool that needs to be utilized, but this is going to leave those execute-heavy operators available. But a lot of people would argue, Puffo, on a map like Chalet, I think the shields are a much more bigger priority to get rid of than the Ace or the Thermite, for example.
Yeah, I mean, look, Chalet can rely on a bit on those breaches. There's a main breach everywhere, and well, I won't be surprised to see Geeke with those high fives, although they do have a limit. And I checked, they got a limit from the side of protection. They can only do 1 high five spam, and this is where they're going to be doing it at the start of the match. Geeke already showing confidence, but yeah, going back to your point, shields here, a lot more priority. On the map like Chalet, again, it's a bit more about aggression, it's a bit more about these gunfights, how we location of a the map with your tone of strategy. And while the breaches are cool, don't get me wrong, shields are just simply cooler in this case.
And I love the mentality from the Ryujin players. They're getting in on the action as well. They don't want to be left out. Giving the high fives in all chat as well for their team. It's good to see that both of these teams are fully up for this game. The vibes are in a good place, man. As a pretty basic setup coming in here for the side of GK. Nothing crazy about this lineup or the way they're setting up this bar site. It's extremely important just to be aware of what your teammates are holding, because there's a very high chance that some of the Ryujin players will look to lurk up blue, hit mud, and all it takes is that one gap on a map like Chalet for someone to frag out on your team and completely negate all of the hard work in the setup that you've created. DK
still makes it up, getting themselves wrapped up nice and easy. Not going to be trying to rush anything. They know they can do so. They have the time to as well. And Ryujin, in the meanwhile, just doing their prep drone work, getting themselves established into the building. And even though they have a lot of these operators, which will be for the long run of the game, especially Capitao and the Grim, we still need to be taking a bit of gunfights early, and the spearhead of the charge will be none other than the Rora, and of course the player with the highest KD here, Aussie.
And he is bringing the Rora. We've seen this operator used with various amounts of success on this in this position specifically. The Nitro raining out will not find anybody, as Pozo almost finding his match there. But the idea is these lines of sight that we see Rexon holding, as well as Rorik onto this piano double door, they're going to be negated by the Rora. We can close these angles off, focus the fights onto the blue player, but it's going to be all about the timing and the response from the defense as the mini execute starts to come out here, Puffo.
Mini execute for now. Try to overtake library. It's going to be a part of the strategy, right? But you got to be dumping a bit of utility. You can't just brute force your way into it. Although limiting and isolating these players for a couple of gunfights, that's what the Aurora is going to be truly good at. But coming in for the swing, see with a beautiful one tap to Rexon's skull, able to crack it open. And while the Geeke are going to be down 1, the contention of the defensive side will still be up. Flashes won't connect with Packball. Shots really well. The run out is there, and Rorik with a quick second. And that's that opening you mentioned, right? Guns with a small little mistake. Geeke have now converted it for their own. The attackers might be extended towards library stairs, but the library itself isn't taken, and Rorik has taken these players into his own hands. As another ball still trying to push back against him, but it simply will not be working, as the team has now been shattered, put into flames, and one after another, while though Pozo is still fighting a bit of a battle. It's a losing one, but the two are going to be found. The headshot is there for Skipper, and all of a sudden, Geeke going to be left down to 2 players, while one of them a single bullet away from death.
And they're both, one of them is low HP here as well. Pozo's got a little, a Grim canister in his back pocket as well. The taunting coming out from GK. Don't lose this round now that you've talked a little bit of smack in the chat. As Pozo with 20 seconds left, you need to get a move on to try and clutch this out.
I'm just going to be jumping down into sight. That's going to exchange, but not going to be looking for any direct lines of sight. Maybe going down the stairs, trying to find a long angle and catch some of these players off guard. But I guess the element of surprise was incorporated, although sadly not able to claim the round either way.
Yeah, and it was just a response from GK, right? That opening pick from Howixy was a lovely shot that we love to see. However, I think GK, they might have done their own strategy thinking. Putting the Aruni in the box, being able to counter the Aurora is a really clever introduction to the strat. Now that strat is rising in popularity, you have a direct counter in the form of the Bionic Arm, which is really cool to see. However, GK, the top floor players, they reign supreme over that top floor. Ryujin, they countered it down well, but unfortunately the guns of GK just too strong in that round and giving GK the advantage.
Giving the GK the advantage. Again here, solid start. Progression was shown and improvised with, even though they got a bit overzealous at the very end. And of course allowed Pozo to get some of these shots. They still played the mental game, even calling him a Pozo in chat, which is just what we love from Giga, right? They're the mental farmers. They absolutely drain your game from either psychic type of approach or just gunning you down. It's going to be one way or another, maybe a mix of both. But now heading into round number 2, we switched the sights as well, so a bit more freshness.
And going for this wall denial is going to stall out the defense just a little bit. However, it is just going to be the bandit in play. We saw a lot of operators gain to getting that breach open being brought from Raijin, but they've since switched off. They don't have the MAV anymore. They do have the nades in case they can get the Blackbeard in the right position to clear this utility off the wall. But I'm a little bit worried they don't have something like reliable, like the MAV or the EMPs, to get that office wall open and to clear these top 4 players. For the uninitiated, the vertical is king on this site, as Azami making her great escape, not trying to get pinched out in the first 20 seconds.
Don't want to be getting pinched out. Allowing Ryujin yet again to get that type of lead, especially on the Azami. Quite a faulty play, but Packable gonna be testing this fade against a long-range gunfight, especially with the SMG-11. As long as you can recoil control it, though, it's quite a deadly weapon. And just jumping against Trophy with the help of Packable, it will be quickly put to rest, but 2 are gonna be returned to Ryujin, even though they equalize it. It's gonna be the Blackbeard, the true thorn in your side, but you gotta be covering all your angles, especially the ones from above, because that's where Rexon is gonna be picking up the advantage. Skipper with another elsewhere. It's the last one, Blackbeard, just turning around, not even using the shield and getting stabbed in the back by the Azami as a final.
I like the aggression though. Blackbeard just jumped in. They're going as a team, full send it, try and get in the face of GK, but they haven't understood that there's support from above. There might only be 2 on the site, but GK have the kill holes from West Main. They're going to be playing with that kitchen hatch open as well. So although it seems like you're going for that 4v2 situation on the site itself, it's actually more like a 4v4 with that support on the vertical. But the big thing from Raijin is you understand these attacks are a bit of a gamble, right? You're going for these rushes. They either win you the round spectacularly or they fail spectacularly. And unfortunately for them, their 2 sort of pocket strats have failed in a bit more of a spectacular fashion so far. So hopefully Raijin can maybe just slow it down. They can provide those adaptations we saw on Labs into this game to try and respond to the way GK are playing this. GK are playing very, very slow and prepared for everything. And I think Raijin needs to go for that war of attrition rather than that aggression approach.
100%. Again, GK are not scared to back off of a gunfight. We saw it on Trophy from the side of the Packball, and even though they're a region, like we just witnessed, like Hamguns mentioned, they went in, tried to catch him off guard yet once more. And early on the round, it isn't expected, but you have already set up all the precautions needed in the worst case given scenario that some of the players are lost and that Ryujin could find some success off of plays like that, but there was none. But GK are safe, and they only use aggression when they know it works out for them. So again, Ryujin might want to be a bit more considerate going into these following rounds.
Yes, as a cheeky little spawn peek coming out here from the side of GK. We've got full info on this as well. Not able to find the angle, however, as we are going for a double hard breach approach with the vertical control as well. Looking to go for that lobby take, but they've got 3 different roam players to deal with that have extended their way up the library here.
Although Ryujin are looking to play around it. They bring out the demos to try and track some of these players down with a bit more ease, and the Nomad to make sure no one comes up behind their 6. Now, as for the rest, though, Ryujin still are playing against time. They're playing against a lot of ground they need to work with, and with YMK making the first steps in contact, will be taking Packful as the opening, but Rorik is simply going to be seeking vengeance, and although being actively targeted, can possibly have a winning gunfight here if finding the right momentum against YMK. But keep in mind, the real role of a flanker or just a roamer here is going to be the time wasted, but Skipper doesn't waste no time, going to be instantly getting down to the job, and YMK returning it in quick fashion. Although now it will be back in the lead of Ryujin. Kiki just don't stop, they keep on swinging and they find it again.
It's the reaction and the re-reaction from it. That's the game right now. Ryujin, they go library, then they extend. It's almost a bait so they can get into the office side. The problem is, GK aren't just going to sit back and let you do what you want. Everywhere the Ryujin seem to go, GK seem to be there already. And that's how we end up in this 3v3 situation. But Ryujin with a minute 20 left on the clock, they do come out of this opening skirmish with the HP advantage and the control they wanted. Ram with 3 boogies still in her back pocket. She can now rain terror on this vertical control. Ryujin have used the 2 operators they needed to get this control to now be able to work the vertical and go for this execute. This flank drone from Nolf is going to be crucial when this retake comes in.
It's going to be crucial, but EK, if they don't spot it out in time or Ryujin don't react upon it, EK might just be a bit too fast, but we're going to have to see how they go upon it. A bit of a pre-fire towards Blue Star is going to be indicating that it's still being watched at the current moment, but the rest of the roster, or rather the full roster that remains of Ryujin here, will be focusing their attention onto main stairs. The diffuser needs to be stuck on through, being very careful about how you do it as well. At the same time, missing a swing onto Skipper as they just run across blue halls, get themselves in a better spot. Main breach being covered, flashes are out, the utility going to be fully dumped and the plant being stuck on through, but with the help of the smoke babe, it's going to be denying it for one, but the sick is coming, and will Pozo get it? Yes, does stick it down. Geeky now at a 2v2 as a prior kill came out with it. Ryujin might have a possible bring back moment here.
And this is where MK can just go play the vertical control, hold this long angle, as not full find one. A little bit sketchy shot from him, but he does find it, leaving Hungry in the 1v2. Shots trading out onto him, and this is looking really good for Ryujin, as he's going to use the smoke to cover himself. Does the vertical player have the angle in? They're scrambling to try and deny this. Surely not. It will not be, as Nolf's just about in time will shut it down. And that's much better from Ryujin, and the composure in the execute is phenomenal from them.
That vertical was a bit dangerously close, but I like what they were doing. They were holding the swing, the potential swing onto the Nomad from the outside. So if one of the players died, you could have gotten that instant refrag. And in the case he went to stick down for the defuse, both of them would have just crunched him down at the moment. And Ryujin, now with a round back against Geeky, played it really well. And again, they had everything planned out. That's what we love to see.
The biggest thing I think Ryujin have figured out in that round is the reaction from GK. It doesn't matter where they seem to go. GK are very fast to react. They get in the face of their opponents. They want to deny any entry into the map. And Ryujin have used that to gain some map control. They sent a couple of players library side to make it seem like that was the main push, and then set up a lovely pinch on the office side to deal with the roamers that were then isolated on that side of the map. It's also extremely easy to lose your way in the midpoint of the round. When they had about a minute 40 on the clock, it's brilliant decision-making from their IGL to understand we still have the RAM, we can still go for the take that we set out to do, and they've just executed it flawlessly. They've understood that connector is now clear, they can't hold that crossfire on the bottom main stairs, and that's that decision-making that lets the bomb go down. It's very easy as a squad just to have people discombobulated, not be on the same page with each other, but that's not the case with this Ryujin side, which is great to see.
All set rotation is through. And EK now going to be returning to where they found their first. Will it be the third as well, is the question that remains going into this. As for Ryujin, only off to a great beginning on the attacking side. It's up to them to keep it up momentum-wise. As for now, EK are also going to be resorting away from the Izami, which is... What would the case in point of that be? What is the trade-off for the Izami? Is it the Warden?
It is the Warden indeed. Maybe trying to lean into the fact that there's so many flashbangs, so much utility being thrown at them, is probably the main reason they've popped off the Azami. But they could also be tailoring their strat for what Raijin are bringing, right? You can see by the lineup unchanged from the side of Raijin. It's interesting that they've stuck to the Rora is the biggest thing for me, right? It didn't really work for them that last time around. I think this time maybe GK anticipating a Ying being brought out to cause more chaos, and that could also warrant why we switched on to the Warden instead of the Azami to sort of double down in that power position, maybe expecting more pressure. As I think we fumbled our setup here a little bit. This is unusual from a T1 side, or a very good T2 side, to get their setup wrong. That's something you see in our ranked games when you bring a mirror and reinforce the wall the wrong way around.
What are you talking about? It's all planned and calculated. That mirror being wrong? What do you mean? This is just to discombobulate Ryujin. They're going to see it and they're going to think to themselves, what the hell were GK thinking? But that's where they get the swing on him in reality. And right now, speaking about the swing, Ryujin haven't necessarily been feeling it up until now. 4 players just stacked up towards this piano and piano balcony side, trying to get these Roteros out, doing some of this utility, and again, playing it slow. The Rollers will be showcasing their strength now and isolating some of these players, but with a combination of the Capital, a bit of damage will be done for Rexon, but it's Null who needs to truly now be careful of where they're going to be stepping to. GK though fighting back with utility of their own, but just a bit too much to handle as the fire is going to be lit, and Roaring there with a kill of their own, shattering a window and continuing with the support of the rest of his teammates. Now just with a bit of shots, return quickly, but it's a bloodbath around Library, as although it is a 3v3, we're still seeking this next step here. Eugen have cleared this top floor, but one more remains.
And this is really good stuff this time. They've swarmed really well. It's the Capital adaptation that's given them this success. Now that they have this control, they just need to be aware of re-aggression with that pre-play C4. We've seen Packball put down on the ground. They have that bulletproof placed on meds that can give the info when to detonate this as well. And this could be the difference maker, as with 35 seconds on the clock, we still have a flashbang and 2 smokes in pocket to deal with this odd mirror that we now have on the wrong side of the wall. As the clock keeps ticking, we need Raijin to show us that decision making once again, Puffo.
Once again, let's see it. Eugen, you've done it in the past. Don't make this falter. DK, though, with the adaptation, could potentially be looking about more danger dropping into the FNAT. Will be having you blindsided, and the diffuser's dropped all of a sudden, but it changed quickly by Neos, although Hungry going to keep it within the lead of the defensive. As all left down to the grim, we've seen a situation like this on the exact same site and the exact same pass as Packball with a final 1v2. Can't win it out time against you. DK now delivering a 2-round deficit against Ryujin.
Unfortunately, the smokes have worked against them in this situation. When you smoke and you go for this execute, they've gone for that default plant, almost being predictable. The other issue is for the side of Raijin, when in a 3v3, when that kit goes down, you only have 2 people to cover. Raijin didn't have the bodies to fight the push and the retake coming in from GK. You saw that flank coming up from Blue. It was really well played for GK to be patient and spring that trap back on Raijin. But again, Raijin, they do well in these mid phases, and if they can keep in these next 3 rounds, if they can keep getting themselves into positions where they're able to execute, I think their decision making and their calmness will pay off eventually in the long run.
100%. Give it a bit of time. Again, Eugen are just getting started. EK, on the other hand, are already a couple of steps ahead, and now we resort onto Kitchen. The second floor on the first, or rather the first floor, second site, we get to see on this map. And again, all sites here are very playable, but most teams do tend to avoid the top and upper one. Does bring a lot of disadvantages, also including those window plays. It makes it a rough spot to be in, but we can still extend to this top floor now.
All 4 sites are playable on this map. That's one of the best things I like about Chalet.
Yeah.
And I like what I'm seeing from Raijin. They went for a very aggressive pocket strat last time around, and now they've brought the lineup that we saw them initially start with in the previous round. They've got the Mav this time to be able to deal with Skipper's bandit batteries. They can guarantee that the office wall gets open. I think this is really good decision making from Raijin once again. Just slow it right down. Just keep it basic, keep yourselves together and composed, because against someone that's so mechanically gifted like GK, you need everybody on the team together to be able to deal with the aggression that GK showed.
Need absolutely everybody going into this with full effort, but the defensive currently are not going to be pushing too far deep towards the side of Library. Taking out some of these drones is going to be a great way of going in. Packball, what are we doing outside? This is not the building you're meant to protect, and Pozo will be there to remind you of it, as a bit of overzealousness is able to find Ryujin's first pick, and I imagine this is also a bit of a confidence kickstart.
Yeah, this is exactly what you want, right? You cleared Packball, an amazing player, off the board. Maybe they left the default cam up, and that's why Packball thinks he can get aggressive. But now we're going to see this breach get open. The Mav paying off really well, and they're going to combine that with the Aurora to clear this half-ball player. Lovely stuff coming in from Ryujin as the Aurora pops, and a freebie off the back of it. Don't challenge this man. Howxy showing his class once again, and Ryujin coming up with some amazing stuff to deal with this top floor extension.
100% amazing stuff. They worked together, and that's what we needed to see. While the Packball's fall was a bit unnecessary and did bring Geeky down a player, which could have been quite useful, especially with a C4 in pocket. It's now left down to 2, which still haven't given up the hopes just yet. They think they can outbattle and outwit Ryujin in this case, and they're definitely doing a decent job at stalling out the final few moments that remain before Ryujin actually capitalize onto the side itself. Rorik making headway onto the top floor. C4 to distract with the swing. They're able to find one. Not a retrace onto the second, as he will be down Solarium side. YMK able to get the refrag, and Hungry now on a lurk west side, creeping his way up to the top. But will be confronted quite quickly, spots the head. The Bravo going to be simply backing up. North does not want to give him the momentum to start getting the ball rolling. And well, I would say he's saving the op right now in this case, but Hungry, you're up against time. You're in a 1v4. Clock is ticking, and North is shooting as Ryujin get their second round.
We've got to appreciate some of the strats that Ryujin are bringing out. The use they're getting out of Aurora is uncanny right now. They've closed that double door so they can isolate the fight onto the half-wall player. It's an extremely common position for a lot of those top floor anchors to play, and they're just like using their brain, Giga Brain strats coming out here to counter those power positions. You can almost expect someone to be there, and they've executed it perfectly. A lot of the time you see the Mav maybe go too early and it backfires. Ryujin are locked in with each other. They're on the same wavelength. They've counted it down well. He's going 3, 2, 1. I'm going to Mav. You're going to just pre-fire and get a freebie. And it's worked out really well for them. Packball sending it into Narnia, being the cherry on the cake at the early part of the round, giving that early advantage over to Ryujin. Just set them up for success. Everything they do works well, it's well drilled, and I love what I'm seeing from them right now.
We'd love to see that Ryujin are actually stepping up against Geeky, because they've been quite terrifying against many teams. Now, for the side of Ryujin, it's merely just another team to face. It's a best of one, and it's down to the getting the job done. As for the attacking side, they only have one more round to prove it, and they've already gotten themselves a satisfactory score. I would say that 4-2 is going to be more than reasonable, but a 3-3 happens. I think if we saw that from Ryujin, then going out to the defense, you would have such a grin on your face because you knew your prediction could possibly come true.
I'm saying it's great stuff to see that Ryujin are playing well, but we also need to give GK credit, right? The 3 rounds that they have won so far, it's been that team play and how solid they've been in the anchor positions they look to hold. Especially on bar, we've seen it twice, how well they can hold on to those key spots and not over-aggress. When you compare GK to a team like UAIM, it's very obvious how much patience that GK have, right? It comes from the years of experience of understanding which situations you want to get aggressive in and where you can be more passive. That Siege, unlike other games, is all about your decision making, and those little decisions, things that can seem insignificant, can make all the difference when you're competing at the highest level.
Make a quick switch about. EK. Holding it all the way to the opposite side of the map. Rorik here, securing the stable side of Library here, which Ryujin haven't had the most succession of how quickly they're able to find it. With a bit of Dokkaebi calls, we see 2 players roaming right next to them, actually 3 around bar side, and definitely an interesting way to potentially set yourself up for a graceful flank. And the rest of Ryujin going to be simply taking it step by step, but I fear that time is not the best.
GK are responding again to what Ryujin are doing. It was a clear library over last time around, and GK predicting into that have dedicated bodies to holding that side. You can see Skipper still running around in bar, and I think Ryujin, unaware of this guy's position, he can just bide his time, waiting for the right moment to spring his own trap. As you can see, Ryujin sticking to their game plan, get the office bridge open, clear the half wall, put pressure on this top floor, and then look to go for a plant later on. But time is going to be a problem here, Puffo.
It 100% will be, and it's going to be forcing a bit of aggression for both these teams, but most of them are Eugen, as now they know they're going to slowly start running out of it. And with the death mark, the party has only just begun, looking for the swing of things, able to find a bit of damage, but it's going to be Reptile with the opening, a second drop, but it will be Packball's name onto the kill feed and the receiving side of it. Now Eugen, again, looking to enter in, but Rexon just simply challenging Nope, and they have no clue about Skipper coming on to Fireplace, approaching Mezzanine, verticality established, but you haven't had a step onto site, and you still have no one there to watch your flank. Skipper here could be potentially bringing you all down. The 3 here to remain, but it's all within a certain time. Rorik all the way downstairs. Surprisingly, Skipper going in for the challenge, able to disjoint Kike, or rather Eugen in this case even more, as only 2 stand to have the diffuser. They have 30 seconds, but most importantly, they don't have the player counts. And that's going to be just the bring down moment. Kike are now holding them on this upstairs hostage. And now your only vantage point, your scapegoat might just be this hatch and the stairs you have on trophy, even the trophy window, which you're not going to be able to enter due to the HP count. You have Rexa with a triple, and the final one's just going to be dropping in Raw, and Rorik able to find the execute. It's a 4-2 split, and Kike able to win out the half.
It's fine margins, and unfortunately for Nolf, he's the cutoff player. He was the guy who's going to spring that trap onto the retreating GK players, but wasn't able to find that kill. And that's what allows the freedom of the rotation from the GK players to rearrange themselves within the site. Raijin, again, it was really well coordinated. You could see the utility dump on the piano side to let them flood that top floor, but GK just time and time again navigating their way around what Raijin were throwing at them to put themselves in advantageous positions to repel that attack. So Raijin showing some real class across that side, but now the pressure's off them a little bit. They get to go to their defense. They can now almost wait for GK to dictate the pace, and they can respond to what GK are doing on a very frag-heavy map. So could this be Raijin's comeback starting off on the defense?
It definitely could be. If there's any time to do it, certainly this is going to be a starting point here. And speaking about the bans, a bit of a switch up. We're not going to be seeing 2 shields be gone this time around. It's going to be joined in with the Brava, and I imagine it's because Eugen have used the Brava themselves. They just don't want to have it used against them.
The biggest thing I want to see when you ban the Brava out specifically over something like the Twitch is leaning into that bulletproof utility that Brava normally counters, right? Your Maestros, your Malusis. Fenrir is included in the cap, but he's not as bad because you can shoot those gadgets. Generally, when you see the Twitch ban, that's where things like Goyo and the Fenrir become a lot stronger, especially on a map where time can be a real constraint. Goyo especially becomes a huge operator because Twitch is his main counter now. A lot of teams bring Twitch on the regular when he's brought out, but if we're looking at the lineup that Raijin are bringing, not really that much bulletproof utility to be hacked. Fenrir being the main operator in this lineup that Brava would normally counter, so his gadget usage is going to be key if Raijin want to find success in this round.
As for Kike, same old, a bit of utility, a bit of everything, right? The entire lineup does indicate that they're a jack of all trades when it comes down to the lineup. They can clear, they have the information, but mostly it's going to be destruction of ground and utility that they rock. Something that our Eugen aren't necessarily relying on too much, as we see by the roster, but just going in, Skipper has made his way into Fireplace and caught Niaz with his pants down, and that's your mute as well, but most importantly, it's the opening pick.
And this is a lovely little bait coming in from GK. We have one teammate shoot it down, but Pozo's fallen elsewhere as well. This is not a great start as the pre-placed drone on Mez is going to spot him out, give it a freebie as Packball finishes him with the Twitch drone as well. And this is not the start that Raijin would have wanted. They're fighting back in a 3v4. 3v3 as Tauxi, he's the go apparently, finds 2, returning the map counter even.
Turning it to even, but when will the scale be tipped yet again here? Right, a lot of bloodshed has been shared between the 2 teams, and while though certainly Giga had a very explosive opening, they allowed Huxley to get away with a bit too much value, and Quick and just dropping down into the loving arms of Hungry. Nolf, what are we thinking? We don't have the information of how clear this part of the map is, but does have his attempt to get back on site personally, but the death mark here is going to make it even deadlier because now at a potential refrag game here, just going in for a couple of shots is going to be allowing Rexon to pick it up back again. For Eugen now facing the same 2-round deficit, or rather the 2-man command count deficit that they did at the beginning, as it's all finished quickly. And what an Armageddon.
I mean, absolute bloodbath absolute bloodbath coming in from the side of GK. As you can just see, they wanted to get so aggressive and they were rewarded for it as well. Raijin weren't ready for that amount of heat to be applied to them that early. Mute, especially being caught out early, is not a great way to start your round. And this is where Raijin, now that they've seen how aggressive GK want to be, we need to make sure that we are locked in from the start. And I like what I'm seeing. We're doubling down on the traps this time around. Going to kitchen, we have the Legion and the Fenrir. Chalet is a map that tends to lean into these rat plays, these aggressive styles of playing the game. And Raijin, they just need to be aware of that. The biggest thing now is, yes, we're 3 rounds down, but we've shown how good we can be. We need to lock in, just be ready for GK to hit us. Because if we've got guns up and we've got our crossfires in place, we can fight back against this mechanical skill.
Exactly. Just keep your guard up at all times. Geeky have been very unexpected at moments. I mean, mostly I'm pinpointing and pointing my fingers towards Pagwell, who has been just all around the place at certain times. But in general, Geeky can come swinging in hot and heavy. And Ryujin, if you're not expected for it, there's going to be casualties without a doubt. Now, heading into round 8, where Ryujin are not only fighting for survival and to be maybe close the distance between their and PK's score, but to deny match point. Again, match points is a huge burden on anyone's shoulder because you just constantly have this thought in mind. If this round goes straight, it's going to be all over. Again, it's not a best of 3, right? So, make sure to keep it in mind. Don't let it get to you too deep. And, Ryujin, you got this.
They just have to dig deep. But the biggest thing we're going to see from GK is, I think, Warwick on the Blackbeard as well as Hunger in the Dokkaebi. Although this map is extremely fraggy heavy in nature, the thing that enables you to frag out is information. Dokkaebi with her universal gadget just gives you so much reassurance that you know where people are going to be and the areas are clear. You just call and you just have unlimited information that that area is clear because you'll hear the phones ringing if they're anywhere remotely close to you. That's what's enabling GK to be aggressive, to take all this space, because they can just call and then just go for it. Combined with the Blackbeard, who can just face check everything. There's an early trade coming in to kick things off for us.
Kick things off, a Legion for a Dokkaebi. One side of information for the other. GK sought out for it. It shows they definitely got it. Ryujin, good on the refrag, but you're peeking out of your head. We get another trade. Housey for Skipper, 1 for 1. And a toe-to-toe performance between the two teams, but all left down to a battle between 3 on each side. Of course, the shield is still there. Ryujin are still under pressure on this top floor and need to hold it down with this 2-player man count that they currently have. And, well, just simply going to back off.
Yeah, playing it really well, right? The BP spotting out this aggression with the Blackbeard, spotting that there's one behind the Blackbeard as well. They're doubling down with each other on this staircase and have made the right decision just to give this up, play the 3v3 on site, and just pray that they have what it takes to repel this GK attack.
Happens. Or attack. GK now. Plenty of time. Their success, or rather, kind of similarities upstairs have left Ryujin with not enough players to hold down the fort on the top floor, but this C4 is going to be getting dangerously close. A single shot to the footsie here. Might be able to take out Rorik, although with the crossfire established all the way from trophy window, you gotta be careful, especially when up on the top floor, Rexon is able to establish a bit of verticality. But again, we're going for any kill that we can snoop on by, and YMKim is gonna be off to a great start. Still contesting Rorik, who's currently all alone. This is the gateway to find yourself that lead, but they don't seem to be too knowledgeable of it, as that's gonna be giving time Rexon to rotate back on down, help him, but a bit too late to the action. YMK gets away with another, and the cross being established. Ryujin have been given too much space to work with, and the Solus now going to be swung on from by, but YMK with a third as well, just dominating in the late game.
This time it's Raijin's turn to shine as they, as a 3-stack, fight for their ground. They repel GK really well, as it's just a case of understanding what you do and don't need to peek. There was a lot of pressure being applied from that trophy window, trying to use that pressure in conjunction with the Blackbeard to make Raijin crumble and overextend. But Raijin just thought, we can just sit here. They lost a body from the Vert, but then had that isolated fight against the Blackbeard, waited for their moment to regain control of the round, and it's worked out really well for them. Raijin, again, showing their class, traded top fragger for top fragger in that last round, making that 3v3 easier for them as there's just less bodies to deal with on the side of GK.
to deal with. Now going to the bottom floor, we haven't seen it yet for the likes of Ryujin, and well, first time for everything. Geekei now going to be looking to see how they can respond on it, but we've seen Geekei play on this bottom floor, and it was one of the only rounds they actually ended up losing, so will that type of performance be mirrored onto Ryujin's score? We're going to have to see, but they're definitely bringing about an interesting roster here, as we also get to see the Vigil for the first time around.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of Deimos being brought right from the side of GK to hunt these roamers down. We saw the Deimos and Dokubi combination in the first attack coming in from GK, because they understand that like there's going to be a roam game. Like, the defenders aren't going to just sit in the site at this level and give us that vertical control. We need to go after and hunt these guys. That's why you see Rorik and Hungary insta-locking the Blackbeard and the Doki every round. But Neos, on the Vigil, he's able to counter that intel game, especially if the Doki calls are coming out. His phone will still ring, but if there's any drones backing that up, he'll be able to hide from them, making his position just a little bit harder to find and hopefully waste a lot more time. But you can see a lot of Raijin players extended across this top floor, getting ready to fight this vertical take GK might be going for.
Putting up Pirate Place, yet again, Geekei are looking to expand across the entire map, and even though they might be spread player-wise, they still are aligned quite nicely and trying to play it safe, not allowing Ryujin to pick up any of these early kills. Although Skipper might be potentially finding early contention, but it's going to be Neos here with a Vigil, making himself the most noticeable of all, even though hidden from drones. The guns, the shots, the position, all is more than enough revealed.
GK have spread themselves thin across the whole map. You can see here the Vigil effect coming in really well as he just hides away from this drone, but they're just putting a net across the whole map. The jump out are going to be there as well. They're taking out this player on big window as well, as that's going to be your ace of all people, taken off the ball early. That Vigil paying off beautifully for the side of Raijin.
And Rorik was not fast enough to deny the kill, and now you've lost your main heart breach. But how do we get back at him? Neos is taking a bit of damage. Seems to be outnumbered at the moment, but with the support of Hauxi, they're still going to get a kill back. And even YMK around is trying to support the fallen comrade. Although they get an exchange of 2-1, they don't want to risk it any further, and they've wasted more than enough time. So just going back to site, the core of the map, and now looking to defend that out.
And lovely time waste coming in by the extension. They've understood we have the man advantage. We don't need to press the issue. And this is the case of GK just being spread too thin. They don't have the people in the right positions to put a net on this drone game. And that's what's allowed Raijin to slip back to site. But we can't count GK out yet. Still a low HP player on the side of Raijin for GK to be able to turn the tables. Lots of flashbangs. It might be Flash City once again in this lobby as GK look to get their execute up and running and try and salvage this round and restore match point lead.
Up and running, only hoping to make the most of what they can. The first call is going to be administered only now from Hungary, and looking to save the last for the execution. But if you won't be there, it won't be made, and gotta reserve yourself, especially considering you're already a man down, and Geekei need to work with whatever they're given. Beckers can't be choosers, and Geekei can't possibly hope to win this off of gunfights alone. You need as much information and utility going into the site. Is now looking to swing it again, and the greatest bearer of bad news here, the FNAT, denying you from entering in comfortably. With the help of flashes, it's going to be a great way to resort onto the C4 will be chucked and able to find actually a kill onto YMK. Geekei do get a kill, a second one as well with the help of Ryujin's one teammate. With no time remaining, the case gone cold. They simply run out of time, but a dangerous game here, Ryujin.
The breach is completely scuffed as well, which is so uncharacteristic of GK, as they weren't able to get that access to the main breach. Means they have to funnel down the main stairs, and all of Raijin players, the composure to understand we have the C4s, we have the mirror that hasn't been popped off the vert, to hold strong and just understand, look, this is where the take is coming. Let's just make sure someone's watching our flank and the rest of us can fight that aggression being shown down main stairs. But the hero of that round has to be the Vigil, right? Bring the operators that counter that information game that GK have been leaning on so heavily is what's given Raijin that success. They've been able to dupe the drone game and just run around and waste so much time in that mid-floor. That's where the round was won and lost for the side of Raijin.
Attackers need to locate and defuse
great adaptation from the side of Ryujin. We're going to consistently keep up with it, because now, this time around, actually, we're going to bring in the Scopos, which definitely does put us in a perspective of an odd one out, but still a pick that definitely contributes a lot of value.
We spoke about it on Clubhouse, right? It's their trademark thing, it's Sims' trademark thing to bring this operator to be aggressive. We saw how much pressure the Vigil was under last time around. The difference is this time, if you're under that kind of heat again, you just bounce back to site. You just say, I'm getting the hell out of here. You guys enjoy that control that I'm now going to give you, but I'm going to get a full HP reset and a full ammo reset and then fight you another day. It just lets you be that much more aggressive, that much more annoying, and get away with it, basically. It gives you a second life.
Get out of jail free card, best described in an operator, and well, Pozo gonna be rocking it. As for the rest now, Geeky persistent. They see the vigil isn't gonna be there anymore, so now instantly resorting to Rexton and the Demos, and also resorting to early aggression as Hungry's able to find Neos. That's gonna be the Legion. Might want to reserve him for the later round, but not this time, and not for now.
And this is that intel game being rewarded again. You can see the pre-placed drones spread out everywhere across this side of the map, giving GK the full information when these guys are going to be spawn peeking, and that's what's given them the opening advantage once again. And GK, this aggression that we see when they go together, when they're aggressive together, more importantly, is where GK have had the most success. That last round was just a little bit more passive from GK. So you can see here, Hungry, looking to sneak in, looking to get aggressive, and this is what he did so well last time around to give him that opening kill.
He's craving kills. He wants more. YNK gonna be right next to the door of death, but Null actually takes Hungry for granted, as that will be a quick return as well, catching off a potential flanker that could have cut your strategy in half. And Ryujin now will be dodging a bullet with that one, even returning one from the side of Null. GK, persistent. They're not just going to be stopping there, even though they haven't cleared out library just yet. Yet is the key point. Is Backbone going to be making an entry with the Rex one following quickly along, and now overtaking the top floor. That was their objective, but only a tertiary one, as still two stand in their way, and it will be none other than Nolf and Hauxi.
And this is where GK's aggression, it's on that top floor, has worked out really well with each other. They've overwhelmed those top floor defenders. You can see the Grimbees getting aggressive, but Hauxi, don't know how he finds these, finds one to trade it back, but still a 3v2 advantage and 2 scans and 2 Candelas in pocket to try and root out these final 2 players. Spotted one out towards B. They know there's going to be an isolated fight over towards Hauxi on this site itself, but Nolf, he's going to take matters into his own hands, finds one, leaving us in a 2v2.
2v2 right now, can't be giving away ones like these, and Skipper is just going to be offering up opportunities and bodies. Now the swing, Hauxi, can we find another? Yes, that's going to be the Fuser. Fuser are looking to make this comeback. Skipper lost his confabulator. Where do the final 2 stand? Going to be able to pop the second one as well. What a pre-fire onto Hauxi, not even giving him a chance to react. And a resort for Geeky to reach match points, maybe a hero play, but some heroes tend to carry Candelas.
I mean, when you're playing a team as good as GK, you can't offer them anything. When you end up in this 2v1 situation, you have to just not peek. You're the defenders, and that's going to be a brilliant round for the side of GK. They worked that advantage well. It got a little bit sketchy, but what a cool, calm, and composed player we have to clutch it out. Some nasty shots to send GK to match point, but I think Ryujin, understanding that they can battle back, that GK can bleed, they're still very much in this game, and if they stick together and they just work these opening kills like they have been in the rounds they've had success, they can get these next 2 rounds to end up back at 6-6.
2 rounds, they've found some of the pass, meaning there is a crack inside the armor of PK. Ryujin have exposed it, but just haven't expanded upon it. And although we've seen adaptation, we just haven't seen enough up until now. Because now, PK, one of the following 2 rounds is yours, and you're going to be able to take it. You're going to be finding regulation victory, but how Ryujin have been doing up until now, honestly, I'd want to see overtime. I'd want to see them have the second chance. And while going into this round, PK have spotted out that there's no Warden, and we'll be bringing out about a lot of operators to possibly get themselves easy entry with a Kali as well.
And this is the thing on this kitchen side, right? All of the utility on the same floor of the site is pointed at that dining breach. We can use the sense from jungle to close off all of those lines of sight. We can also use it on this top floor to negate some of the crossfires that the defense will be holding from up above. I love that we've got Pozo on the shotgun as well. He will be able to spot out any off plants that might be being brought out from the side of GK. So this will be all about how well we hold the top floor, but Pozo, don't tempt him. He's got Khalid, he's holding that window. Let's not tempt fate here.
Let's not tempt fate. Ought to be going against him. Again, each one of these players from Geeky hold a death sentence in their hand the second you want to swing out from him, and the rappel line here is going to be exposing where you currently stand. Although Ryujin even are looking to showcase some of their own aggression and try to fight back against Geeky. Attempt to fight fire with fire, some may say, but Geeky aren't stepping into it just yet.
Yeah, GK going for this solo overtake, changing the strat up as that kitchen over didn't work last time around, but Noel being left alive is going to be maybe a little bit detrimental as but another kill coming in elsewhere as Hungry finds one, but Pozo gets one back, leaving us in the 4v4, but Rorik's there to back him up as well as it all starts popping up on this kitchen
Gold
site.
starts popping off. Look at YMK still trying to find the ones, but again, the plant is going to be going down, and GK are looking to have themselves a quick finish. The second they find the grasp over the match point and being held from above, the verticality will not be able to find its mark, and the random shots to the smoke will not appear as YMK absolutely no clue of where the final few stand. Same could be set for Pose though, and she's going to be walking into the line inside of Skipper, able to find that second, third, fourth, just like that. Hungry finds YMK amidst all this chaos as the last one standing will be a victim to the gun of Skipper. The Slayers of T2 will be striking yet again. It will be Geeky, your victors for the second match today. And also, good performance 7-4, but not to discredit Ryujin. They definitely pulled their own weight.
I mean, what a game from GK. They had enough. They stopped playing with their food. So a lovely result from GK. So let's take a look at the highlights and we'll see you after the highlights.
In this fade against a long-range gunfight, especially with the SMG-11. As long as you can recoil control mode, it's quite a deadly weapon. And just jumping against Trophy with the help of Packful, it will be quickly put to rest. But two are going to be returned to Ryujin, even though they equalize it. It's going to be the Blackberry. Mostly it's going to be destruction of ground and utility that they rock. Something that Ryujin aren't necessarily relying on too much, as we see by the roster. But just going in, Skipper has made his way into Fireplace and caught Niaz with his pants down. And that's your mute as well. But most important,
Thin across the whole map. You can see here the visual effect coming in really well as he just hides away from this drone, but they're just putting a net across the whole map. The jump out going to be there as well. They're taking out this player on big window as well, as that's going to be your ace of all people, taken off the ball early. That visual
on the swing. Huxley, can we find another? Yes, that's going to be the Fuser. Fuser are looking to make this comeback. Skipper lost his confabulator. Where does the final two stand? Going to be able to pop that second one as well. What a pre-fire onto Huxley, not even giving him a chance to react. And a resort for GK as YMK. Absolutely no clue of where the final few stand. Same could be set for Pose though. And she's going to be walking into the line inside of Skipper, able to find that second, third, fourth, just like that. Hungry finds YMK amidst all this chaos as the last one standing will be a victim to the gun of Skipper. And the Slayers of T2 will be
What an interesting match and an interesting performance from both of the teams. And Ryujin did put a fight in this match, and they did indeed show up as Amgans said, but unfortunately they did not get the victory as the T2 Slayers, as Puffo says, claims yet another soul and another victory for them. GK Esports are the team that will be winning the match between them, and we will see in the rematch later on in the league and the series if Team Ryujin have another ward or will GK be taking another point from them. So guys, we saw a very interesting match. Yes, the result maybe a little bit to GK side, a 7-4. It could have been an overtime, but they still managed to close it to their favor, and Ryujin couldn't unfortunately get the victory here or get at least 1 point. So Puffo, what do you think overall of the game? What do you feel Ryujin did today in the game?
Well, I think they showed us that they can still win some of these rounds. They still have that opening to find the mistakes that GK show. Even if small mistakes, they can punish them quite heavily. And the matchup was great. I think, although I still expected GK to win, I liked showing, or rather seeing how Ryujin are fighting back constantly. They aren't just giving up. They are still fighting at their most. And even at certain moments, they make it look like they could potentially even win the matchup. But maybe that's just for another game in the future.
Yeah, and Amgans, I will ask you something different here because, I mean, you the person who expected them to be winning, and unfortunately Ryujin didn't, and the dark horse of the day is not going to be victorious. Maybe we will have to wait another day for that. So what do you think of GK's power? What do you think, what was the key to their victory? Because it was a very close game. It was a very closer game than I expected, and a lot of other people expected. I'm pretty sure of that.
Yeah, the biggest thing for GK, and we spoke about it throughout that game, especially on their attacks, was that intel game. The way they use their drones operates like the Dokkaebi and the Blackbeard to face check and just send utility, in the form of the Doki call throughout the map to be able to clear the space effectively. That's what's got them their success, especially on the Legion. Is a big round as well. When Raijin needed the opening advantage, it was smothered by the info game that GK were bringing. They had the pre-placed drones spread throughout the map to counter that aggressive playstyle that Raijin were trying to utilize on a map that favors that aggressive playstyle. And it's just that info game is so difficult to deal with. There was promising rounds from Raijin, bringing the Vigil as well to sort of fight back against that info game. But GK, no matter what Raijin did, they found a way to get the info they needed to hit Raijin where it hurts, and that's what gave them the most success.
Yeah, and it in the end it did convert to the side of GK, and to them that small things that was different between them and Ryujin is what got them the victory. So of course that is going to be the main reasons that GK came victorious for this match. But of course there is still a lot of matches for them to play for both of the teams, of course, and we will be waiting to see who will be getting more points and who will be qualifying, because in the end there are a lot of things that can go wrong for either of the team or can go right as well. So because this is, as we said, a double round robin, you still have to play the same team again one more time, and maybe you will play them again after that in the playoffs if you qualify. So with that being said, let's go to the next match and the last match of this evening. It's going to be Myth and Diavoli, a match that pretty much divided everyone, because let's look at the prediction and the talent prediction. Everyone in this match specifically had a different opinion, because we're 2 for 2 here, and this is going to be a very interesting, because Pafo here said Myth and Amgans said Diavoli. I'm interested to see why do you think Myth is going to win, Pafo, and then I'm also interested to see why do you think Diavoli is going to win Amgans.
Yeah, for Myth, it's mostly about I've just stuck around with them for a while. I've seen them a lot. I know the roster, and well, they're just decent. They're just good. Again, they're the team that I've been quite commonly affiliated with in the past. I've casted them a bunch, and they're just the boys. As for Diavoli, I'm not necessarily saying that I don't know how good of a team they are, and this is quite a threatening match for both of the sides.
We have to keep the production even, because Divoli are my boys, if you like. Someone has to back them, and it's nice to see that across the talent pool today. To bring you this production, we've got a nice even matchup to end the day. Both of these teams are, one of these teams is 2-1, sitting on, I believe, 5 points. The other one is struggling for their, not struggling, but waiting to get their second win. So this is like the battle of the mid-tier, if you like. Both of these teams have had some success and some failure throughout the league as well. So both of these teams are going to be looking at this matchup as a prime time opportunity to get some points on the board. And I've seen really good stuff from Divoli. I really enjoyed their game last week, and I think they show a lot of promise as well when they play really well together. So I'm going to be backing them today in the predictions.
Yeah, and this is going to be the time where me and Pafo will decide who's gonna go 3 for 3, because it's going to be between me and him. And let's see if casting with Amgans is gonna curse you and you're gonna lose your prediction today, or is it going to be me predicting it correct? And speaking of predictions, and speaking of the game, let's look at the map bans and let's look at the map that we will be playing for the last game
Sure.
of tonight. And we are going back to Chalet once, of course, the map being cleaned. You know the drill. The barricades need to be reinforced again, and the walls need to be softened, and the breaches need to be removed. The usual things that we don't usually see behind the scenes. So
Yeah.
we are going to Chalet. Pafo, do you think this is going to be a
Yes.
different Chalet than the one we just saw?
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, we just went to Ryujin and Geekei, a bit of an underdog story against a team that's renowned for how well they've established themselves within the comp scene. And now we're going off to two teams that honestly I find very close when it comes down to the skill level. Now, maybe the scoreline is going to be proving me wrong, but I think this, in my eyes, is the match of the day.
Interesting. I love Chalet. It's one of those maps that's extremely frag heavy. It's unfortunate that we see two of the same maps, but at least it's a map that we all love, right? As you spoke about, Puffo, in the last time we looked at the veto, it's a map that is something that everybody knows. It's a map that is played routinely within the competitive scene, and it is one of the more aggressive maps in the pool. And I think that's why a lot of players enjoy playing it, because it doesn't have that defender-sided nature that the likes of Skyscraper, Clubhouse, Consulate have. It's what it allows both the defense and the attack to bloom and have success on, and you don't feel like you're being hindered by the map. There's not an innate disadvantage when you go into it, and it's very much about how you as a team perform. There isn't any underlying characteristics about the map that can sort of hinder you in either side. I think that's generally why we see this map picked so often, especially in these best of ones.
Especially in these best of ones. Again, Chalet, there's not much of a different way we could describe it. Everyone knows it. I mean, just love to see it. But in general, though, not fancy. What about you? Do you like Chalet? Do you like queuing up into a ranked match and seeing a bit of Chalet?
No, I'm more of a club guy. I'm more of a clubhouse guy. I'm more.
Clubhouse.
Yeah,
What?
Chalet for me became, and I know this is going to sound weird, but Chalet for me sounds too redundant. I know you're gonna be like, but Clubhouse is redundant as well. Yeah, but Clubhouse always feels interesting to play, because yes, you might be doing the same exact thing multiple times, but it just feels there is that element of I would say curiosity for me, or element of difference every time, because there are tiny things in Clubhouse for me that makes the game different and makes the map especially different for that. But yeah, I also love Clubhouse or Chalet from there, like from time to time. Let's go to the team cards quickly, because we need to talk about Nixon here, and we need to talk about his performance so far. Buffo.
Yeah, well, Nixon is going to be the outstanding player. 1.19 KD, total kills 19, and total deaths 16. Looking good. The rest of the team is also quite shortly following along, but going to be that, again, that aggressor, the initiator of the team, and of course, not separate from his teammates by a large margin. Now, while those scientists stand out, yet again, a positive KD in this league, or in general, just with this type of high tier in comp, is impressive. And of course, although Myth necessarily aren't going to be relying on one player alone, Nixon is still out there as the top one they get to offer.
He is indeed. Let's take a look at their opponent's lineup as well, just before we get into this game. And the hero of this roster is going to be Murat, also dropping more than 20 kills so far throughout this stage. He's been the one cooking stuff up for his team. So we've got a sort of battle of the giants, right? We've got Nixon versus Murat. That's going to be the, who can really step up and match their performance throughout this stage so far. And the rest of the team having very similar stats to their counterparts on the side of Myth. So this should be a great matchup to get going for this. So without any further ado, Puffo, let's get into this map and get going.
Let's slowly start getting into it. I mean, we saw Chalet before, but it was Geekei. It was the likes of Ryujin, which are two different teams. But as for the side of Myth and Diavoli, we haven't seen them for a whole week. So honestly, I want to get that impression of them back in yet again. Fancy, what do you think? Are you excited for this match?
Yeah, of course. As you said, this is going to be a different chalet, so I think we need to watch and see for ourselves. So, guys, without further ado, go ahead and enjoy the match, and let us enjoy your casting and the game as well.
Yeah, 100%. There it is. We're going to be slowly heading into the match. It will be Myth versus Diaboli for the last matchup between the two, going on to Chalet for a second time today. And Amguns, I've said it in map number 1. I'll ask it again. I know it's brutal, but are we excited?
Of course, bro, get your popcorn. Yippee! This is the matchup that we were looking forward to. It was your match of the day. And it's a great map to carry out on as well. And we finally get some different bans as well. We see the Grim getting banned out. We've seen his presence used extensively across the league so far. So a key execute operator being banned out early by Myth. Hopefully, Divoli, they've still got plenty of choice available for execute operators. So we'll have to see how this plays out.
Come on, cook on. Keep the cookage going, Kings. Right now, Grim and Clash, Brava and Azami. Yes, there it is. Honestly, we've seen those bans before, but I'm liking the first route. I'm liking the first duo. And again, getting the shields off of the defense, keep it coming. But allowing the shields to be played by Diaboli is going to make this a lot more hectic and enjoyable, I'll be honest.
And now that we've got the same bans as the previous game, this is where you can see Tridley immediately hopping on the Malusi. We didn't really see the team previous lean into that Brava ban on their defensive half. I think we're going to be seeing a lot of Malusi being brought. I really want to see a Malusi Maestro combination. The sheer amount of bulletproof utility you have in that combo can just win you rounds single-handedly, especially on a map that has a very ratty nature, very aggressive nature. It can just give you the information you need to counter that kind of playstyle that we saw Hungry utilizing a lot in the last game. He was using Dokubi the full effect to rat throughout the map. And why not when the map does favor that kind of gameplay?
You said aggression. I heard it, but I also see it on Diaboli currently. Could be bringing about a blitz and a blind there. Oh no, it's going to be a good time to be alive.
I mean, when they're so strong on a map that's so aggressive, like favors aggression, why would you not bring the shields, right? A little bit unorthodox bans coming out from Myth, leaving these operators up. But that's where you've got ops like the Mirror and the Malusi to stagger that attack, right? You can see where they're coming from, you know where they're going to be, as Eli getting cheeky here to kick things off.
Eli feeling themselves already. Round number 1 and already going for a spot peek. Not even giving Diaboli the time to process the aggression that this map might bring. But of course, they're able to counter out and already spotting the trophy is going to be left granted. They take those benefits, they reap off of them, gain ground as well, and keep on persisting with the drone. But you got to be careful where you step.
Deimos going on a one-man adventure across the other side of the map as the Blitz will now come and join him over this side. They're putting pressure across both sides of the map to keep Myth guessing where the main push is going to be coming from, but Myth seeming very happily just to hold the site itself, giving all that free real estate over to the side of Divoli. As you can see, within a minute gone, already knocking on the door to Piano, looking to start clearing these library players out. With the utility they've brought, with 2 shields on the board, they can just run at these guys and put so much pressure.
Oh, what a tap from Eli. That is nasty, but granted to say the least. With the Vector P shooter, the headshots matter, that's to say the least. But Diaboli, they still get to keep their aggression right now. The shields, that's what the form of their playstyle mostly intends. And with the Blitz now just charging into library, going to be taking it out. And Devilish plays on the backhand as Nixon is able to be taken out. But a quick return here from Okari, as it is a 1-for-1 deal. Myth are going to be keeping up the advantage when it comes down to the man count. The Blitz cornered on library, completely pushed out. But that's why the bigger brother comes in for the play side, now pushing back, and a support from 3 players on the side of Myth, but simply not going to be enough as Maratz gets the pistol flick. A second one here for Rikari already, and Diaboli are just getting kept at bay. That's a great player from Rikari. They're on to the final. What a connect.
I mean, Akari is showing his absolute class. This is why he was an ITBA and why he's hailed as one of the best players in T2 right now. And it's just a team play coming in from the side of Myth. They understand the shield pressure is coming in. They understand that they're under a lot of heat, but that's where they can double down with each other and hold that crossfire onto that library area. Even with the smokes, there's just so much utility being dumped, but Myth were rising up to the challenge, playing off each other to bait these players, and just stood firm, confident in their gunfights to win out that top floor hold.
Real great beginning here for the side of Myth, and even though Diaboli kept up with the pressure, I feel like they didn't compact it too well. They started off with a bit, they shot some shots, then they kind of let it be. Space was given to both teams, and with the Blitz pushing in, they didn't necessarily work off of him. They just let the Blitz be alone for a bit, allowed Myth to process all of that and start prepping up for a counterattack.
Yeah, there was just the shield gameplay just not paying off for the side of Divoli there. But the plus side is they did go together, right? They sent the players through that piano double door alongside the shield push, but they weren't able to utilize that pinch as effective as they needed to get Myth out of those power positions to take that top floor control. It's one of the most difficult things to do, especially on Chalet, is to force these defenders out of those key positions. But we will be going down to the basement when it comes to the next round, when that round does start.
Down to the basement, and for the moment, hey, we're back here on the cams, and well, we're going to give you a bit of a moment to just kind of process all that happened as this tech pause is ongoing. And well, we saw a decent round from Myth. Right now, it's only one round, but they still look to get a couple more, seeing as they're on the defensive. What do we want to see here from Diavoli that might be able to kind of give them a better attack?
They need to just think about a little bit more how they want to take these power positions, right? We can't just bring shields, especially against the talent of this class in the form of Myth. Just bringing shields and running at them is generally not the most reliable way of getting the rounds over the board. In ranked, it can work great. You just send it and we're all good, but we are going to get right back into the game and let's just see what they bring rather than guessing.
All right, let's allow actions to speak rather than words given in chat and from the caster's mouth, but going on to the bottom floor. Okay, fascinatingly enough, we get to see that a team won't be going for the second one on the first floor, but rather just all the way down to bunker. And well, with Diavoli now, they're also going to be switching it about a bit. We also saw the Blitzer and the Blackbeard show their faces for a moment. They don't seem to be put into consideration any longer.
The biggest thing here from Myth is with the rise of the vertical takes,
10 seconds
with the
remaining.
introduction of Ram specifically, a lot of teams now favor these lobby takes
5 seconds
because
left.
the vertical control just gives you so much presence over where the defenders can rotate and let you get that bomb down. And as you can see, Myth could be respecting that fact by sending multiple bodies up top to contest the whole map. And that's what has to be done at this level of the game. You can't give anything away to a map such as, which is so small like Chalet. You've got to contest sort of everywhere you can, but it's all about reacting to where the attack wants to start and making sure that you prioritize controlling that area.
Setting up for diesel work. Ariel already going in for the pre-drone, trying to scout out who and what might lurk on the top floor. Again, Diablo are going to need to clear it all if they want to have comfort with Akari, who speak about high-tier class, and that's a run out of the very beginning, which could have caught someone off guard with a spray through the wall, able to find some damage, but it's going to be necessarily the wound spread open by Nixon's 12 gauge, finding the opening, and it's onto the data bar counter as well with a hole just into the wall, able to just to finish it up as well. Marat's just returned one, but the blood has already been shed. The job has been done, and the pre-fire there, right in between the eyes of Ellie, through the wall, bullets caught. And what did we just witness?
And just like that, Cyan's going to keep the ball rolling as he finds the eyes of Ariel, a bullet between the eyes to put him in the grave. He's going to be on to cams for the rest of the round, as Divoli for them, this round has ended just as fast as it started, as these opening engagements being contested across the map. And that's what Myth are going to try and find success. Making Divoli uncomfortable, not giving them an inch, as making them fight for everything, as these isolated ones not go in the favor of Divoli as they find themselves in that 3v2.
The Devils on the work of clearing utility. Gonna have a good run, but with that second zap not coming around and the drone revealed, it does get taken out. Now onto the last resort. It's gonna be the Swine side, opening up with the can openers as well, with the ace leaving the field so early on. You don't have much of another choice, but still trying to work off of drones. Again, you do have the time to find a bit of information before just charging on in. And with the utility on the Capital, you want to make sure it's as guaranteed as it can be, but gotta be careful of some of these players in the base still being thrown out.
And this is where Capital's utility is going to be crucial if they want any chance of getting this round. You can see there's too many angles to cover with just the Twitch. We can use that fire to negate some of the angles to make Twitch's life that little bit easier. There's full information on Boiler here, as getting aggressive is going to be silent, but it's a bit windy as Devil rewarded with a freebie, and it's now a 2v2. Jaeger's going to fall as well with the Capital bots, all left to Nixon as he falls too. And that's a salvage round coming in from Divoli, has almost gifted it one side of it.
Given it to him, just given, and in the end, the side of Myth definitely could have prevailed better. Played off that utility, just waited on by, but they decided to try and swing, which results to chains of unfortunate events, and those were necessarily kills that were required for the attacking side, and if the defense didn't push in a case where they necessarily didn't require to, could have been a different result, but now with a 1-to-1 equalization, Myth looked to return themselves in the lead, but Diaboli on a plan to overthrow them.
Yeah, unfortunately for Nixon, his opening kills going unrewarded
protect your bombs
as
from being
Divoli claw
defused by
themselves
attackers.
back into the game. I think Myth just weren't confident that they could just hold the positions they needed as Divoli started to get aggressive, maybe thinking that they had that info they could get aggressive as a team. But again, this is the difference between teams like GK and Myth, is GK understand exactly when they need to get aggressive. There's very few mistakes ever brought out from them. And that's what I think a lot of these mid-tier teams in the league are looking to aspire to get to, right? Get your decision-making into a place where it's almost flawless, so you don't give
10
teams
seconds
that
left
second
before
chance
insertion.
back into the round. But again, it's very early days in this best of one. There's still going to be a couple of rounds where both of these teams just kind of look to figure each other out, find out what works, and then they can start making the right adaptations to start building some momentum.
Eli has been here in the past. The first round, this is the first couple of angles we actually got to witness, and an early showcase of aggression for the side of Myth, and simply waiting on by, but it does seem like the player of Diaboli does spotted, gets blocked out by the tree line, although Allard, even keeping his life intact, is the major decision that needed to be done. As of Diaboli, their drone work up until now has been absolutely phenomenal. Yet again, the setups have been done quite well, and it allows for easy entry as of the players of Scythe, as the second shield as well right behind them, that's going to be the Blackbeard, and without any verticality, they just get to walk free.
I mean, they've just walked into Trophy looking to put pressure on these players. The Scion's going to get a rude awakening if these shields look to push their way up. But again, we've seen top floor being played this time around. A lot of teams, they try to avoid this top floor by how routinely people understand how to attack it, as it looks like it's going to be a full-on solar take coming in from the side of Divoli. They want to work these shields up the staircase, get control over that bottom area to try and exert pressure onto Myth and get control of the D-bomb side.
Shields looking to be the spearhead of this charge. Yet again, Diaboli going to be relying on Solarium to be overtaken, and even long angles being held from the outside. But Myth are stepping into dangerous lines of territory, just kind of teasing these shields on Trophy side, as verticality might be getting established, but you don't have it handed off to you too well, or at least well enough to clear some of this utility that you require to set your foot into the building. So cautious of any runouts, Diaboli, or given it time and peace. But Myth, this time around, won't be allowing such mistakes to appear as they did in the prior.
Where is the Capital Ball gone? Like, the fire just hasn't cleared this player off this position as Trigley works his way back into Solar, finds one, finds
The
two.
jacket as well! Marat, you can't be peeking into it like that. He tries to get the refrag with the pistol, but his head is going to be exposed. Although an exchange does happen, Diaboli here are still left with one player less, and now in a bit of a sticky situation.
And there's still this mirror to deal with. The Capital Balls just haven't done their job, and now they're just staring at this mirror window. The fire again, just not finding this player, as he can just see it. The name misses as well. Surely we can get something in to clear this player out, as it's all going a bit wrong for Divoli.
From worst to worst, Ellie from below with a C4 there, and just like that, quickly closing it out. Myth will be shutting any attempt of stepping into the site, into the building. Anything past Solarium will be their ground, and they claim territory once more, as now back in the lead.
Yeah, missing that firebolt on the mirror is crucial. That's the one operator that you brought to really crack open the defense. And now that we get to the quarter way through this game, the next set of bans will be coming in as Blackbeard. No surprise there, Puffer, I think.
No, honestly not. I don't think Myth have been liking the Blackbeard a bit too much, but it's a difficult operator to deal with, and if it weren't for the players like this one, where we just witness a double swing go into Tridley's favor, the Blackbeard could have been standing, could have been a lot more dangerous, but of course, Myth still prevail nonetheless. They get themselves a second round, and now ongoing into the fourth. Will Diaboli try and repeat what we've seen in the past, get themselves back onto equal standings,
Attackers need to
or
locate and defuse
Myth
as many bombs
possibly
as they
trying
can.
to distance themselves away from Diaboli?
Yeah, these rounds being very back and forth between them. Scion on the Cade is not something you see every day on this bar site. Very unusual pick coming in from him. But you can see Myth really leaning into making the adaptations on this site. You've seen Divoli be extremely aggressive, lean heavily into that blitz gameplay. And look at the response coming out from Myth. We've got the Legion, the Frost, the Malusi, and the Fenrir. Basically, every operator imaginable to counter this shield gameplay being brought up from Myth, because their only success comes off the back of that shield gameplay. So if you can negate that completely, why not?
Why not? If the option is there, make sure to play into the strengths that your site currently offers. And well, the Avali are certainly going to be also picking up on a trace of it, because for the first time we're going to be seeing the full mountain. Marat's on the Monty and backed up by a bunch of utility destruction.
Maybe looking to slow it down just a little bit. Still get that information off the shield gameplay. Back down your opponents, be able to roam clear uncontested with that Monty. But now you can just be a bit more organized. If it's going to be Marat's as the IGL, he can just organize the team. He can just do what he likes, be in a safe spot to be able to tell people where they need to go, what problems they need to solve without being contested, because that shield will just keep him alive.
Was the Gone 6 missed? I believe so.
He shot the windowsill. No, they got it. They got it.
They got it. Okay, thank God. Marat is not going to be walking into the bear trap just yet, but stepping inside this library has now given them a great advantage, because Myth now are going to start feeling the pressure. With a ping onto the T-Forge, is going to be waiting for a call from anyone to know. But it dropped down. You're able to re-secure yourself and salvage back some utility. As for the side of Diaboli, this Monty is proving to be great, but Cyan, on the other hand, that T-Forge will not be able to be utilized, as Out is able to put him down quickly, and an exchange here from Nixon with a bit of a run out to find the Capitao in return, although the hole from the outside of bar, or rather gaming by Ariel, might be able to catch someone.
And we just hit a bit of a stalemate as this top floor being taken by the side of Davoli. Ariel finds one on that window from below as they're just trying to figure out where the weaknesses are, as it's just dragging out left, right, and center as we start hitting the site puffer.
Yes, we do. Down onto the floors, able to find some sort of capitalization, but Marat's using verticality with a pistol. You don't expect for the Monty to be fighting back now, do you? Although Myth are still left down with only one hand to fight back against, and it's Tridley, who definitely has been miraculous in certain moments. 2 kills in the past, and now looking to up it up. The down is there. It does finish the job. That's already a third into this round, as Diavali right now are pushing back, not only with the death mark, but the Monty there just to keep you in place, allowing this Deimos to nicely hunt you down as you're the prey in the situation, knocking you back down to the ground. Devils finishes the job, and that's the duality of a shield and Deimos.
I mean, great play in the 2v1, right? You've got so much pressure you can exert with the Monty. You know he's pinned into stock. It's the discipline from the Deimos to understand that I need to wait for the Monty to get close, wait for that engagement to take place, and then I can swing to get that freebie. Too often we see the non-shield player get too aggressive, too hungry for the kill, but Divoli this time around not making any mistakes. They went 1-for-1 with Myth. The info game that we saw on that jungle player, giving Divoli the advantage there to shift around in their favor, and then just the power of Monty being full effect there.
That's a space you don't want to be stuck in, right? Between a Monty and a Deimos, especially in that connector-ish area, and at the same time with only one hallway to work with, 2 doors both being held. Absolute hell let loose. Now, Diavoli equalizing it out yet again. It's going to be Myth going to the bottom floor, where earlier they found a lot of success in the early part, not so much at the late.
Yeah, it was that discipline towards the end of the round that let Myth fumble the bag. But this is where Divoli, they've opted not to bring the shield this time around. Maybe thinking we can accomplish what we did with the shield with our drone gameplay. Lots of drones being sent out across the map. Only 2 being lost in the prep phase is really good news for the side of Divoli. This allows them to bring more utility for the execute, solve a different set of problems that the Monty doesn't let you solve. As you can see, we have the Deimos for the roam clear, the Twitch to clear the Fenrirs, as well as the Buck. That vertical gameplay wasn't on offer last time around. But this time, if they're going to go for that lobby take, they can open up that floorboard and control the rotates of the defense from that vertical gameplay.
Davlige is going to be checking Myth for any possible runouts or spompings, but gotta be careful of Nixon here, who's being very tempted at the very given moment. The same goes for the Ricari, just swinging in back and forth, not able to find any value from it, but definitely sensing that maybe Diavoli have started catching onto his tricks.
Yeah, Tridley's backing up his teammate on this 3rd floor. Akari is just being hunted by everybody here as the W bait not quite working out. As Smoke fucking a bait, the last round in the mag. Allred finds one for his troubles That's going to be all of your plant denial taken out from very early here, Puffo.
Very early here, and again, the smoke being the roaming operator, I'm not too sure about it. Myth might want to savor that for the next one, but again, there's still plenty of players to go on this top floor, and Trinity being one of them will be a quick second to follow in the grave that Diavoli are digging up here for the side of Myth, with only 3 to offer up, and still Roamer being hunted down. Akari right now going to be next to Soprage and getting taken out the next second side there with a great hunt, and still Myth offer up more. There's another right next to Piano. Cyan trying to back off, just jumps up with the revolver in hand, hoping they can get away, but the site has been left completely open, and Diavoli's objective now is just to hunt their prey.
The live by the sword, die by the sword approach coming in from Myth, just not working out for them, as Eli juggling the whole team from this dining position.
Jumps on down. Cyan even gets a kill of anyone trying to interrupt that jump down. Ariel looking to make haste way on towards this west side, but with a great beginning here for Myth, although yet again in a bit of a struggle where Diavoli were found in the first round we got to see on this bottom floor.
And Alred still with 2 tracks in his hand as he finds another one to shut down Eli, who had to try and get aggressive. Getting that live by the side, live by the sword, die by the sword approach just didn't work out for Myth. They didn't have the bodies together to fight the coordination of Diavoli.
Loudron's going for swings. Flash is sent against you. A single tap from the Deimos. Is it able to find its mark? Yes, it is. Allard with a final one, and certainly one in flashy fashion, but nonetheless, Myth, as much as we've seen them work in coalition and bring this strategic defense to aggression, this is a whole new level, and it's not working out in the greatest.
It was Akari, the player he is. He's just been caught off guard. He's got stuck between a rock and a hard place, and he's tried to call for the rest of his team to sort of bail him out, to get aggressive, to support him. But Diavoli were ready for the reaction. They didn't get over aggressive. They made sure they understood that, yes, we have got these isolated fights. We're not walking into a trap. And it's that composure that's given Diavoli the advantage for the first time in this game. So really good work from Diavoli to hunt these roamers down and get that an opening initial engagement in their favor without a shield as well, which is great to see. They're leaning on it heavily to start the game off. It's nice to see a shift in the way they're playing to adapt to these aggressive roam games from Myth.
Final round in the first half. Myth not wanting to make it too large of a struggle going on to the second will require this round to be theirs. Again, it's all down to the playstyle. Will they go with this hyper-aggression again, which Diavoli have been slowly expecting more and more as this match on goes? Or try to switch it up and use adaptation?
Reloading!
Adaptation is the name of the game, Papa. That's what Siege is all about. We love to see people bringing creative strategies as we tag Cyan again or making the rotate. It happens to the best of us, even in ranked. There used to be a time in the prep phase, Papa, where if you shotgunned your teammate making a rotate, that was it for them.
Yep. Thankfully, that didn't happen to Cyan. Would have been quite a shame and a rough beginning, but Mid do get to keep their players alive right after the prep phase. But Diavoli are looking to prevent that. They're looking to take those lives for themselves. And again, thinking about this Thatcher around as well to deny a bunch of utility.
Diavoli really like these direct takes. Maybe looking to go for a bit of a fast plant, just clear that really tough corner that a lot of people like to hide in. The Capital is a brilliant operator to clear that position. That then negates the vertical play on the big window. So if we're looking to go direct, that's sort of step one for getting that play to work. However, it does telegraph your take extremely well. The defenders will react immediately. This is going to be a direct take, warning the guys on site that you need to get ready to deny that big window. As you can see, they're just really taking their time to set this take up. They really committed to going direct. They're just going to need to make sure they count it down properly and they understand what their win conditions are going to be.
Diavoli know that once they start it, there's going to be no stopping it. Either that or they're going to have to give up so much investment over to Myth, and that's not something they're looking to find interest off of. But again, the contestant is going to be able to hope and find them. Devils, there it is, able to start it off to Nixon, breaking down castles as well to find extra opportunities and entries. But as they haven't been yet to fully committed, libraries being taken care of, because if you want to get that plant down, you need to make sure the hatch is not being covered. With a jump in, you're not checking your 6. Ellie there will be able to pick up a kill, but from the side of Mezzanine, we do get a window peek. Devils with a second into this round as well, but Diaboli keep it for themselves. Myth, on the other hand, starting to struggle with a run out, though Tridley quickly able to return, and that scythe off the board, but now Buck comes in charging and looking to wipe anyone from Library. A bit of pre-swings, try to find yourself lucky kills. A bit of damage certainly will be delivered, but you need the teamwork.
And look at the box they've put on Library, just looking to clear it out.
And now with a swing, finds a bit of returned blood, and just like that, Marads will make sure you do not escape him just yet. 35, Diaboli are now looking to finish it, but they still have a case to put down. Tridley going to be hiding his presence as at the current moment. Ariel not feeling safe to jump in. His preparation still being made. Diaboli don't have the information they want. Smokes are out. Myth are now just looking to fight against it. They do have a C4 here that could be potentially bringing it down. It's Chuck that connects. Saya there with Ariel. The case is dropped yet again. And just like that, Myth are now playing close range quarters with the shotguns, with the smokes, using utility against the attacking side. The Marats and Devils have nothing to show for it. Tridley and Cyan duel hand in hand, and Myth just managing to equalize out the half.
The smoke actually working to the defenders' favor as Cyan patiently waited for his moment. But a 3-3 split, completely even at the half, as both of these teams battling against each other, promising rounds from each team. And this is where, again, like we spoke about in the game before, Divoli, the pressure's now off of them. They can set the defense up however they want, get confident in the way they want to hold the site, and now respond to what Myth are doing. Attacking generally is the harder side, because you have to be more organized as an attack. You can't just do what you want. You have to you have to pay respect to what the defense is bringing and adjust generally more often to what the defense is doing as well. So Divoli, I think both teams being quite happy with a 3-3 split.
100%. Mid there, we're in a bit of a struggle. In a tight spot, some may say, but they got themselves through it. And now swapping the roles, I do wonder how this is going to be affecting them, because yet again, Myth were able to play off of those swings, because on the defense, it's not expected. Now on the attack, Diaboli could be picking up that themselves.
They can indeed, as Divoli on the defense have chosen to go to top floor. Completely different to the game before, Papa, where neither team wanted to touch this top floor bomb site with a 10-foot pole. And that's the beauty of this map, right? You can play wherever you want, whatever strategies you want to bring. These long angles into Library being opened up. By the side of Divoli is trying to contest that early control that Myth might want to go for. But if we look at the lineup across the side of Divoli, it's an incredibly routine lineup. The Pogmats coming in clutch in various places across the map to try and catch out any unsuspecting victims that try and sneak their way into sight.
The Frost was introduced here quite gracefully, and honestly, I love to see the Frost, but we haven't seen any kills for the bingo card just yet, so get wrapped up. Maybe Myth are going to be the first to step into it. But look at this extension. Again, they're going to be opening up everything.
They are going to be opening up everything indeed, as these long lines of sight, they can be crucial, especially the ones we're making to support our kitchen player. These are the big ones. A lot of teams will try and isolate that kitchen player early to try and work that opening advantage to then go for their Solarium takes. By having these vertical angles everywhere, look at the amount of vert they've opened. You can just deny so much of that control, so much of that access from the attack. To make Myth really have to think, which player can we actually isolate? Which player do we need to flush off first to then pinch out the guy we actually want to kill?
But are Myth the team to go in with so much prep, to go in with so much thought? Hopefully they will. Although a C4 sent flying out towards Cyan's side, able to do a bit of damage. A slap on the wrist to say the least. Flashes in return, and Arca is going to be able to get one quickly cheat by Tridley elsewhere. And although we do have a 1-for-1 deal, it's completely going to be tipped on the scale side by Uli with a kill onto Devils. Now Diaboli focusing themselves on this rotation-heavy type of defense has let against them because they didn't focus their eyes on the horizontality.
I mean, Myth doing so well to get the opening engagements in their favor without even entering the building. Divoli overextending on these vertical angles, trying to get aggressive, but it's just not worked out for them this time around, as now Myth can get access into the building. But this reinforcement is going to save the mirror.
Yeah, just for a bit. I thought Ariel was going to expose himself for a moment there, but actually got himself in a clean position, really stuck, claustrophobic to say the least. But you know what, Ariel? I imagine he's as snug as a bug right now.
I mean, the pocket strats coming out from Divoli here, that's not a mirror I've ever seen before. Very vulnerable to that piano window, however. If they can realize that the vert is an option as well, we still have Eli below who can go and take care of this mirror himself. And that's exactly what he's going to do. Look into this player, clear that utility, and make it easier for his team to go for this plant a little bit later on. You can see them pushing their way up this staircase. This is where those flashbangs, they've only got 2 left in pocket to try and win out this 4v3.
Spinners are going to make it a bit more difficult to enter in, but you're going to be clearing that utility as well. Now sending some of your own out the Grims here to deny some pushes, or either give you some sort of information, but you're exposing yourself a bit too much, and the shots from Morats won't be connecting. The plant is going down right next backside. It's going to be the default, but swings are required. Morat stepping up to the task to find Cyan, and that's going to be the diffuser. Dropped, denied. Time running out. A single top break here from the side of Nixon, just swinging it to Titan, able to secure 2, as Scythe is the only one standing, and not only trying to fight a losing war, but at the same time, Myth is constantly holding him at bay. There is not much pressure you can kind of press onto the side of Myth here. They're on the attacking side. They have you surrounded. When you go for the swing, you find an unexpected Eli right around the corner. That's going to be your first 2 more required. The pre-fire there could almost find Nixon, but almost isn't quite enough to cut it. As now just going all around the site, using every single type of loop around it you possibly can to distract these enemies, confuse them in the moment, and try and find the shot. Goes around and gets one. The second can be delivered. The HP so low. Time there's still plenty, as only 7 seconds were required. Goes for the hip fire. Goes for it. Nixon with the flick of the wrist, the pistol in hand, and just able to keep the attacking side within the victory's reach.
He's ducking and weaving, trying to find a way to make it happen, but it's going to be Nixon, the hero of the round, to salvage that for the side of Myth. I mean, what a hero play coming in from Nixon. They just didn't have the pressure they needed to get into the site until Nixon decided, I'm going to be that pressure that we need, forced his way in and absolutely popped off. And what a player to clutch it out as well. On 1 HP, a lovely stuff coming in from the side of Nixon to get his team the advantage to take a 4-3 lead in this game.
I like that so much. Again, even though it was Nixon at the end who got that triple, right? Went into the side, the double, opened it up, got themselves the plant. Right, great. Nixon, there's a lot of credit to pass around, but the start of the round was also good here for the side of Myth. The rest of the players also, they took these challenges just to get themselves in the man lead and also start pushing towards Solarium. Although the end of the round was a bit roughened up and a 1v3 almost lost, it's that beginning that really showcased that they can start it off nice. Just the continuation tends to be a bit more on the downhill side of things.
And just like that, luckily we don't have to pause this game for too long, so let's get right back into the action, as I bet you all of the players as well itching to get back into the game and get themselves those juicy 3 points if they can get themselves a regulation win.
Regulation victory on the line. Now, Diaboli have been constantly lurking within the shadow of Myth's score, right? It's been 1-1, 2-2, something like that all throughout this matchup. Now, are they going to be keeping it within tradition to do that once more, or will Myth finally surpass them and go on to reach match point as soon as they can?
And with the operators that the side of Divoli have been brought out, we are seeing more of an extension towards the offense side. The Valkyrie especially, the amount of verticality the defenders can play is huge, right? The pre-placed C4s from below, in combination with the info that you get, it allows you to swing more aggressively. We saw GK show us how important that info can be. So nice to see that that's an operator being utilized, but I like the lineup from Divoli here. Pretty much standard lineup, everything pretty working in conjunction with each other. However, no protection for these mirrors.
No protection, but they do exchange it out for information. Valkyrie here is an operator that hasn't been necessarily picked a lot, I would say, throughout the day. Definitely something new to witness. But again, C4s as well. Black Eyes come into play handy. And when you're working against guns like these, you got to bring them all. But Trilly going to be able to actually out-counter PQ. And the Rat there, the first to fall, followed up with the Ash Charge. But the position from Allard, able to take out the Blitz, as didn't check your 6. And that's going to be leaving you in a man count equalization. And Myth definitely can't pass up plays like these.
And there's another one coming in from Tridley as well, as that's going to be another to fall from Divoli. Again, Myth, without having to do a whole lot, keep finding these frags. It's just Divoli getting very aggressive, but the ratting strategy not going to work out from Eli. Oh, just like that, it's even again.
receive it again. The Nook wanted to make it shine. Possibly another opportunity for Mid to find themselves back in the match with a possible casualty onto the attacking side, but couldn't necessarily find the cutting edge into the side, as of course, Ariel just simply better on the read.
He is indeed, as that's going to be an even situation. This is where Divoli, they can just chill out now. They don't need to get aggressive. They can just understand that, look, we just got to hold our crossfires in the sight and wait for Myth to commit. Myth are playing this very slow, very patient style of gameplay and keep catching Divoli out. And now they're in this 3v3, they can just put a stop to that. Divoli can just say, look, we've given up these two bodies, but we're equal. We've taken out a key operator in the form of Nixon on the Blitz. Now we can just bank on our Goyo utility as well as our Fenris to stall out the rest of this attack. With 50 seconds left on the clock, Myth have about 20 seconds to decide how they want to get that kit down or how they want to swarm into this site. Because that enemy is going to be the fourth man for Divoli, and they can lean into it as heavily as they want.
Heavily bunker down, waiting for Myth to step into their own lines of sight to contest them in their own den. Prepping with claws, waiting for the right moment. Shots from above, not going to be connecting just yet. Close, but of course, just on the dot. Zion now ready to smoke it all out. Myth are starting to prep it up. Devil's position here a bit away from sight. And although an exchange happens, it's going to be the second swing that brings them over the edge. And with the final one, Allard began it out with a kill onto the billets and going to be sure as hell to finish it as well. And now with the defense back online, it seems like Diaboli will be able to yet again catch up to Myth.
Yeah, brilliant work from them to stay composed, to lean into the time waste. And the biggest thing from Myth is the time they spent getting those frags upstairs. They come at a cost. There was only 2 drones left available for the side of Myth. And when the time is that low, you don't have time to go grab your drone from Narnia and bring it across and figure out what to do. You have to just decide, we're going to send it and we've got to make the best of a bad situation. But that's where the extensions that we're seeing from Myth, although they're losing bodies early, because they're trading them out and burning that utility usage as they go along, it pays off in the long run for the defenders. And that's what these extensions are all about. Wasting time and utility, giving yourself favorable situations in the end parts of the round.
And at the same time, it's down to Myth to try and prevent Diaboli from wasting that time, to have as quick of a charge towards this execution as they possibly can. And that's where I think they've been finding some of this value with the Blitz, but in the prior rounds, they weren't necessarily able to utilize him. So I think that's where the decision lies of maybe switching away from him, not even necessarily resorting to the Blitz. They want to have good guns, and they want to have utility over just a big metal plate that protects you from the enemy.
Yeah, Nixon caught off guard with throwing the Fenrir a little too early as well, Ariel. You need to wait for the round to start before you can throw that outside. However, the biggest factor will be, can we deal with the mirror? We saw last time that the Capital boys weren't effective at clearing this position on this upstairs area. No mirror being brought this time around, so that's just not going to be a problem. So it should be significantly easier to take this top floor to then access the middle floor for the side of Myth. But Ariel, he's going to kick things off as finds a freebie onto Nixon.
Yeah, saw what Nixon was capable of in the past. Doesn't want to have a recurring event in the present. So with a good swing and about, you're going to be able to get the kill and maybe even back off with keeping yourself alive, possibly securing sight in close quarters. But with another one, that's where Maratz is going to be giving away this possession that has been given to the side of Diaboli, as Myth are slowly starting to return some of the favors.
And just like that, we're back to even because of the aggressive nature of Divoli. They share a lot in common with what we saw from UAM earlier, wanting to be aggressive, but they keep getting caught out. When the 5v4, when you have the advantage, there's no need to get aggressive like that.
Oh, but Ariel is able to find Tridley, but just like that, Eli going to be holding the cross all around Master, and with the swing of Ariel, HP's going to be too low to have any fight back. And with the DMR, you find the shot just like that. Myth are now going to be finding themselves the lead on the man count. That's for the hands of Diaboli. Rough spot, gonna have to work off of these C4s a bit as well, but majorly, give off a bit of ground. Let Myth take it. You've wasted enough time.
But this is where we have to give so much credit to the side of Myth. Time and time again, we see teams crumble under this aggressive playstyle that Divoli are showing us. It's very easy for Myth to get caught off guard, to lose bodies early when these guys are swinging like seemingly random things. But Myth have understood that we can just be patient, we can almost bait the aggression, and if we're prepared for it, we can punish them for it. And that's how they resulted in this 4v3. But the Pogman coming in clutch.
Yeah! We get the Pogman handguns finally, doesn't resort to a kill. Yes, ALRD is able to make her wishes come true, as of course the Pogman making its value, but you gotta be careful, there's still one upstairs, and holding your sight, the cat tower will fall, but alongside it is also the diffuser. Akari now needing to work off of a 1v2, gonna be completely surrounded, and working on these guns. There's the down, but the final one still remains right around the corner. HP definitely dipped when it comes down to it, but currently Akari just lurking around and trying to find the ones, and even lurking out potential verticality, but Scythe gonna be there to catch up onto him before Diably, one of the rare, if not the first time in this matchup, will find the upper hand.
I mean, we just spoke about how calm and composed the Myth can be, but they've rushed the 3v2 situation, not checking for the Pogmats, maybe not spotted the Frost out at any point during that round. And what a clutch time for a Pogmat to come into play, as the retake above working beautifully for Myth. I mean, Myth, they just sat back and absorbed the pressure, and it worked out beautifully for them, as Myth just looking a bit lost in how they were to execute out that 3v2.
Moments. Gotta be a bit more careful, Myth. You had such a good thing ongoing, but heavily, they did exactly what you started out with. Wait for them to come to you. Allow them to make the mistakes instead of you trying to show your weakness. And now 5-4. Myth, again, going to be taking up a situation on the attack, but for a turnaround, now needing to deny Diably a match point, which was a situation they wanted to find themselves in themselves.
We've got 3 people stuck in a rotate, which we love to see. They're that keen to get their site set up. They've all got stuck in the same spot very briefly there. We love to see it. However, Myth, they've been in advantage situations 2 rounds back to back. It's promising signs that you know how to attack, but it's also mentally draining knowing that these rounds should be going in your favor, and you're choking the advantage. You could be, you know, up to 6-4 at this point in time if you just organize yourselves to win those rounds. And this is where this is crunch time, right? This is where we've got to see how well Myth can lock in, because if they've only now get this 2-round advantage, they'll be chilling. They'll be thinking, we've got the 2-round advantage to play this round however we want. We can maybe try something a bit unorthodox. No problem if it backfires, because we have that buffer in round count. This is a big round for Myth to try and swing the momentum in their favor and build on these advantage situations they keep finding themselves in.
And it's the final time to do so as well, right? At least if they want to find regulation victory, otherwise it's going to be either overtime or a loss. Being Diably's victory, which is something they're setting their eyes on. The prize being a possible 7-5, 7-4, whatever it may be. The defense here is going to be certainly a way to reach it. And while Myth already gaining early leads on where some of these players might be headed, and Devil's looking for a couple of swings, able to find it be close, but just not going to be able to connect it.
Yeah, this position is always played initially just to give it up, waste a bit of time, make the attack wary that you're extending out this way. As Devils, he's completely on his own here, on a bit of an island. Only these long lines of sight from the main breach here to help him out, as Frost is just not going to find the drone. But this is the thing, Devils now has the help. They've rotated bodies here to help him out and deny the entry into this side of the map. And this is all about the time waste. How much time can we waste? How well can we waste it to make sure Myth don't get anywhere close to the site?
Oh, but look at the intel gathering here from Myth. They have drones all around it. They're the big brother, the eyes in the sky currently, just watching over Diably and trying to read into every one of their moves. At the same time, though, gotta be careful, because Diably are very unpredictable, as they're gonna be coming out with 2-3. All of a sudden, Myth have been dropped down to the ground, and Diably are looking for one. Devils keeps on pushing back against them, and it results in Akari being the last one to fight, denies the flawless, but still 4 to stand. Where has it all gone wrong? The swings from 0 to 100. Myth thought they had it all under control, but they were proven wrong quite quickly.
They had it all under control until they didn't, because they've just walked headfirst into a crossfire. These long lines of sight, this is the trap that I've only wanted this to walk into. You saw the drone game, there was so much information, as that's a freebie for Akari, as he's just going to take his time out on the roof. Surely we just stop peeking out this roundabout.
Yeah, Diably, no way you'd get overtime in this sequence. Oh, prove me wrong, Ariel. Contesting your Harry face first from piano. And while hitting those high notes, that's for sure, but the shots even more. And now Diably on match point against Myth 6-4. Well, Myth, I think every team has found themselves in a spot like this. GK versus Ryujin was 6-4. Psychopathus and UAM was 6-4. Ironically enough, we're in the same spot, but Diablo on the lead.
I mean, can Myth break the pattern of what we saw from the last game? The biggest thing from Myth is I think they're just not acting off the information they find. They didn't have any information in the last parts of the game because of how well Divoli have been wasting that utility. But in this game, you've seen Akari as well as the Ash droning out library trying to see what's been happening. They've cleared the shield and maybe thought, we've now dealt with the setup. But when those drones got shot, they didn't see the next layer of that extension. They've just tried to walk into it, and because they didn't have that info, they've just been slammed completely. That's why the kill feed completely orange, as Divoli, they understand that when the attackers walk into these kill boxes, that's when we're going to swing. That's when we're going to get aggressive, when we have the advantage, and swing in numbers too. You saw various members of Divoli getting aggressive, swinging and getting those advantages. Because they're fighting these 2v1s in the kill boxes they've set up, that's the advantage of the defense. You get to control how these engagements go, and the attackers have to respond. And right now, Myth is not doing a great job of responding to these setups.
Not doing a great way of showing what they truly can. Diablo definitely granted. It's definitely given in Major Leal its showcase there. They're having a bit more succession on their own. For the start of Myth, we're going to be seeing an operator that's been very commonly banned up until now, and it's going to be the Brava on Eli, especially considering we do have a bit of utility to work with, but I think the main aspect here is going to be the main cams and majorly Malusis.
Yeah, that's going to be the main thing that the attackers are going to have to deal with in this round. It's interesting to see that the Azami's been banned out by Myth. I don't think that's been the biggest problem that Myth have faced so far. It's mainly been these intel-based operators that Divoli keep leaning into. The Malusi especially, the Goyle as well. The mirrors have been problematic. The Azami is harder to deal with than, easier to deal with than the Azami. Both Ash charges going for 2 mirrors, whereas Azami having more utility than the Ash charges you have available.
Wait to fire him out. Rats gonna be able to sneak away just in time, but Devils making sure that Trilly doesn't have an opportunity of fighting back, as Myth will be having their first loss dealt. 140 to remain, and with a swing following quickly will be Devils with a second as well. They keep on contesting him back, but they find no victory off of it, as now 2 dropped. Myth already in a 3v5, and Diablo, look at them. They don't feel overconfident. Maybe Devils for a change, but the rest are just sticking to what their roots are.
Yeah, nobody on K9 window to back up Eli as he goes for that swing. As Divoli, they're going for these entry frags this time. Myth were being very patient. They were waiting for these swings to take place, and they were punishing Divoli for it. But there's been a massive momentum shift that Divoli have just found the picks. They've understood that we could just get even more aggressive, and the Myth can't seem to handle it. And that's how we end up in this 3v5 situation, because Divoli just feeling themselves like, when you're shooting this well, what are you supposed to do about it?
They're in the swing, they're in the mood, they have nothing bad going on for them. And Diaboli are looking as golden as ever. A bit of damage onto Devil's Boomerangs, but let's be completely honest, the damage they've dealt against Myth has been just outstanding, as the attackers can't seem to find their way into the building. Look at Nixon, just stuck alone. Same goes for the rest of the crew. But Sion, firstly, going to be able to deliver some damage back, starting to make Diaboli bleed, but a bit too late if I do say so. Still go for utility destruction, but not a time to do these types of things. Now you need to push into sight, and while the first initiation is made by Nixon, it's Alred that actually takes the gunfight in their own hands. And the final 2 attackers here, not much of a choice but to just brute force it into sight with the diffuser takeover. Hatch trying to find the swing, jumps in, jumps out, trying to lure out the one player upstairs contesting you with a pre-fire and just choking you around. There is nothing you can do. You walk into the fire and you're burnt down to the ground, as Diaboli will win it 7-4, which I believe has yet again been the score we've been dealt with every single map today.
I mean, what a coincidence that is. But we've got to give credit to Divoli here.
Yes.
As the confidence they showed, the way they were taking these fights, Myth just seemed to forget halfway through their attacks how aggressive Divoli can be when it comes to a map like Chalet. And on these maps, we saw GK being just as successful as well. The reward you get from how, playing this aggressive. Myth were doing a great job of closing down that aggression early on, but then very quickly that shifted not in their favor. They just forgot that they have to deal with this aggression round after round.
100%. And well, You know, as this was the final matchup, I'm going to get you sorted out with a bit of a treat because don't leave us just yet. We have an interview underway and we're going to be shortly back with it, really shortly, just after this break.
I don't think we're going to a break, Puffer.
What? I'm reading what was written to me.
We might be
in
going
live
straight
text.
into this interview, so we might have some time to yap about this game.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable. I've been lied to. It says call for a short break, doesn't it?
No, it's just the program has changed, my friend. We've kept you in the dark because we want to, we had to surprise you, We had to keep you on your toes.
That's unbelievable. This is rigged propaganda.
So if we take a look at the game we just faced, right? The biggest thing I think is a very good performance from the attack and defense from Divoli, right? Puffer, we saw a 3-3 split coming in from them on their attack. I think the thing that got them over the line was they were just more organized today than their counterparts on the side of Myth.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, in general, look, Myth, as much of a fight as they put up, they left too many gaps in the open. They went in aggressive. And some of these rounds, again, they were very winnable. We saw the one on basement. We saw the one upstairs. Well, there was a lot of upstairs and basement, I know, but we've seen a lot of these rounds where they definitely had the advantage. They had it all, but they just decided to kind of throw it in the ditch.
I think the 2 rounds before the last 2 rounds, if that makes sense, that's what was the Achilles heel of Myth. When they had those advantage situations and they didn't have the info to be able to convert those rounds into round wins, I think that's where the mentality really changed for the side of Myth. It could be extremely mentality taxing when you know you've got to be winning these rounds, when you know you're class as a team and you can't get these rounds over the line. And that's where I think the mentality, that's would have been the perfect time for attack timeout. Let's not get it wrong. That's where I think, especially Nixon, he's got to call there and go, look, we need to get ourselves together. And it really depends team to team as well. Some teams need a hug. Some teams need a kick up the backside. It really depends what kind of team you are, but we didn't see neither coming in from Myth. There was no attack timeout, no real pause or talk as a team on how they can get those rounds over the line, and they just really crumbled from there, unfortunately.
Yeah, especially in the last round. They didn't have much of a fight back. I mean, they lost 2 players in an instant, yet again swinging into Devils one by one, giving them the opportunity to take such a lead. And as much as there was no bad thought about it, trying to find the refrag right, you should do it with your team. You should try and be as safe and sound about it as you can be. But in the end, the last round was there. And of course, without a doubt, Diaboli took it quite by a long shot. Although, still a good attempt from both these teams. Myth started off quite well. I think I could definitely give them the first half, even though struggling on the defense, I'll give them that. They still carried it on to the second. But, I mean, Diaboli did not only that, but then carried till the very end.
And if we look across the stream today, Papo, what was your favorite matchup? Did it live up to be the Myth Divoli game, or do you have one of the other games that sort of was your favorite game from today?
With such similar scorelines, I'm actually a bit of a fan of Ryujin versus Geek Esports because I thought it was going to be, again, as much as I'm not doubting Ryujin, Geek just have such a high standard. I didn't think that Ryujin were going to be able to hold such a good amount of weight for themselves, even though they didn't win, right? Still surprisingly well how they managed to find some mistakes from Geek.
Yeah, my dark horses. I got one right. Divoli won. I can't remember.
Oh, wait, no,
I
that
predicted
means
Divoli to win.
I'm not
but
3
you
for 3.
don't.
That's horrible.
So I believe that means Fancy Pixel, who will be hosting the interview shortly, he went flawless for today, right? Because I believe you had Myth to win this game. So your boys, unfortunately, not being able to get it across the line. But my underdogs, one of the dark horses, they get a win today. Let's go. So really good stuff coming in from them. And I think this team have come a long way, right? We got to cast them back in PBX, I believe it was, like in 2 seasons ago. I think PBX came out to their 8th season. So in season 6, we got to see them play. It's amazing to see how far this team has come and how much success they've had in recent years.
Yeah, and I'm looking forward to also seeing how Diaboli are going to be going on through this day. Because, I mean, in general, Diaboli here are really good. They've had themselves some decent track records going down through Voltage, and I think they're also one of those teams that can possibly fight against Geek. I really want to see another matchup of Geek and Diaboli.
I mean, have they played GK yet? Because they're
actually,
undefeated
yeah,
right
they
now.
haven't. That would be a good first to see,
So
though.
need to give everyone a heads up. They've now got 2 regulation wins and an overtime win. So they are currently undefeated in Voltage League. So I don't think they've had the chance to play some of those heavyweights yet. And that will be what the real tests are, I think, for this team. Thinking back to UAIM as well, they've not had a great start, but they're still core.
Yeah, 100%. I think that they're going to be a good deal breaker in stepping in against these really strong teams. Now, as for Geekade, again, an interesting matchup. Psychopaths as well between themselves. Those two are going to be an absolute banger, but I'm just hoping UAIM can start picking it up. I think UAIM have such great potential. Same goes for UAIM specifically have shown greater results in the past than they currently have in the entirety of Voltage.
As in, like, the way they've been playing, you think they've looked stronger in the more recent games? I think
they've had cleaner performances in the past.
I see. So you think they've gone backwards a little bit? You think they need to lean in some of their past performances? I think they're just,
they need to return something. I don't know. It's just a feeling. Just a feeling.
I mean, we'll have to wait and see. As we said, right, they've got a lot of time left to prove their worth. So we're okay. There's a lot of games to go. We're only 3 games in out of 14, I believe, across this stage. So there's plenty of time for improvement, and that's what these leagues are for, right? Teams to look at these games and say, you know, we are not where maybe we want to be, but there's a lot of time we can VOD review, look at the mistakes that we made, and come back stronger. That's the beauty of having these stages so long.
Yeah, 100%. I think Voltage is also a great way for teams like these, which aren't necessarily T1 yet, but right, still showcase that they're out there, they're growing, they're willing to learn, they're willing to also play against these other strong competitors and get themselves, besides prize money, also recognition. I think this is what it's all about. And again, lovely system here we have feeding into the T2 chain. And honestly, I think this is going to be a great season for Voltage, especially we're only in the group stages and these are already bangers.
I mean, we're getting some great games, man. Like today was a 7th, although the scorelines are only 7-4, I feel like the games were banging today. Hopefully everyone that's watching has enjoyed the games as well, as it's been great fun casting today, and I can't wait. We've got so much more Siege. I just can't get over it, Puffo. How much more Siege we're going to have in this tournament.
Yeah, it's going to be a real long distance before we get to the end. So again, just make sure to stick for the path. Just stay updated. Make sure that you're here on all of these streams. And of course, it's not like it's only me and Amgun. So tomorrow, I think it's going to be Drago and someone else. I can't necessarily, I didn't read, honestly. I got to check. But there's going to be more faces, more voices. And of course, with this entire setup, we have everything nicely under control. It's not like these matches are constant timeouts and everything. We don't have a lot of tech pauses here. So that's lovely. You know, back in the old days of the T4 scene, teams would really love to take their times with tech pauses, at least from my experience.
Yeah, it's going to be Cries and I just looked at it and I can't remember. Just looking at, yeah, Cries and Drago are going to be your casters tomorrow. I think Fancy Pixel will be returning as your host, but it looks like we are ready to go. So Fancy Pixel, we're going to hand it off to you. Take it away with our interview.